Chapter 1250. Ling Zixiao had not expected the other party to agree outright. Negotiations are, after all, a game of strategy between two sides. Once the other party is suppressed, terms can be discussed at leisure. In her words, a third-rank talisman merged into the formation and charged towards Patriarch Sima. Boom! This assault from the talisman shattered the bow-like magical shield above Patriarch Sima's head, scorching his flesh and tearing his magical robe. Clang! Seizing the opportunity, Lu Pingon threw a golden punch with ferocious power, causing the leveling ruler before him to quiver and sending Patriarch Sima's internal mana and chi blood surging, spurting a trace of blood from his mouth. Buzzing! At this moment, a dense frost surged within the talisman formation, and vines stretched toward Patriarch Sima, intent on suppressing him. The Sima family is willing to offer 300,000 spirit stones and a spirit land. Patriarch Sima formed gesture incantations with both hands, and summoned a turtle shell magical treasure, creating a magical shield, while the leveling ruler in front of him pulsed with dark light and overwhelming force. He shouted loudly. Ling Zixiao stood tall, her skirts fluttering, unfazed, continuing her hand gestures with an imposing aura. And add 3 more upper-class shops. Although Patriarch Sima was conceding, his aura was not any weaker, exuding the dignity of a superior. Not enough. Ling Zixiao's expression was calm, her presence arrogant and peerless. Lu Rui, Lu Lingxiao, and others on the side watched with trepidation. This was a high and mighty false core immortal. The opponent had already shown weakness, yet her aunt, her mother, was still so imperious and unyielding. However, as Lu Lingxiao watched his mother's strong and imperious demeanor, looking down on all, he didn't know why, but a subtle excitement bloomed in his heart, as if a seed was sprouting. He felt that a great man should be just like this. False core immortals, is that all they are? With a faint golden gleam in his pupils, Lu Lingxiao gazed at Patriarch Sima within the formation and suddenly felt that false core immortals were not that remarkable. Even nascent soul immortals and core formation masters were merely a few levels higher in cultivation realm than he was. He would surpass them one day. Why should he feel they are lofty and untouchable or feel fear and awe just because their cultivation realm is higher? It's easy to break a thief in the mountains, but hard to break a thief in the heart. Lu Lingxiao murmured to himself as he remembered something his master had once said. Cultivation is about cultivating the mind. Sometimes, the strength of the spirit is more important than the level of cultivation. One can respect high-rank cultivators, but must not fear them. As thoughts swirled in his mind, Lu Lingxiao unexpectedly felt his dragon roar physique stir inexplicably, activating the vermilion bird sky-scorching art. Your Bihu mountain is insatiable, thinking you've got me pinned down. Today, this old man will self-destruct my core, no one will get off easily. Patriarch Sima was aware that the initiative was in Ling Zixiao's hands and that he had no bargaining power at all. Immediately, his face twisted into a ferocious snarl, as a terrifying might burst forth from his body like a rising sun. Pingon, be careful. Ling Zixiao's calm and indifferent face changed slightly, not daring to gamble whether the opponent really intended to self-destruct his core formation. He immediately performed a gesture incantation, making the talisman formation display a sky-covering defensive stance. At this moment, Lu Pingon also activated a third-order defense talisman from within his chest. A third-rank talisman. Patriarch Sima's eyes narrowed slightly upon seeing Lu Pingon's actions, a hint of regret in his eyes. Following that, his eyes showed a ferocious light, causing the jet-black, dazzling ruler in front of him to explode like a dark sun. He did not self-destruct his false core. Instead, he chose to detonate the magic treasure leveling ruler. As a false core immortal, a venerable elder, would he really self-destruct his core formation together with a few foundation establishment cultivators, perishing together? Boom! The blinding black light flooded the talisman formation, and even with the protection of the third-rank defense talisman, Lu Pingon kept retreating, summoning a defensive magic artifact. Ling Zixiao hurriedly manipulated the array plate, sealing and suppressing this terrifying power. By his side, Lu Lingxiao, Lu Rui, and Zhou Datong also took action, trying their best to block the mana shockwaves leaking from the formation. Hoo, cough cough cough. Even with the shockwaves suppressed by Lu Pingan, Ling Zixiao, Lu Lingxiao, and the others, the commotion still caused the merchant caravan's pack animals and Lu family disciples to churn with chi blood, their faces turning pale. Such might, it's terrifying to this extent. The one battling Lu Pingan is indeed the Sima family's false core patriarch. A venerable false core patriarch has been pushed to such a state by the Lu family. The Lu family laid out the formation in advance and even had a talisman formation at hand, predicting that a false core immortal from the Sima family would come. It seems that the Sima Sijia met their end at the hands of the Lu family, otherwise, the Sima family's false core immortal would not have easily taken action. Who would have thought that apart from being proficient in formations, this Ling Zixiao also understands the art of talisman formations? CTH Novel Fire. Any website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. What's more, Lu Pingan has hidden his capabilities too well. His body refinement is actually strong enough to withstand a battle with a false core immortal. Observing cultivators from afar were all astonished and emotional in their hearts. If not for witnessing it with their own eyes, they would hardly believe the rumors that Lu Pingan, who was only at the Foundation establishment mid-stage in terms of fighting power, was able to stand against a false core immortal. Boom boom boom. At this moment, the talisman formation was riddled with holes due to the might of the magic treasure. Go! Patriarch Sima's face was pale, his breath weak, as he grabbed Sima Tai inside the bronze bell, looked at the shattered talisman formation, and transformed into a divine rainbow that shot out. The self-destruction of the magic treasure was indeed astounding, successfully breaking through the talisman formation. But the leveling ruler was his life-bound magic treasure. Its self-destruction also severely damaged his vital energy, wounding him to the core. Thinking of escaping, Ling Zixiao, who was currently in control of the Great Formation, immediately signaled the Thousand Faces puppet fox to take action. Buzz! In an instant, as Patriarch Sima, who had just broken through the talisman formation, felt as if a blunt knife was chopping at his mind, his mental spirit violently trembled, and he was thrown into a daze. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1251, What kind of trick is this? He had no time to think, hurriedly activating his cultivation technique to alleviate the dizziness and disorientation before continuing his escape. Ryup. Just then, Lu Pingan, his silver, tattered armor gleaming with golden light, shot toward them like a cannonball. Boom! Already frail, Patriarch Sima staggered from the impact, spewing a mouthful of fresh blood. Second uncle, leave now. Weakened and covered in wounds, Sima Tai clenched his teeth, enduring his injuries as he stepped in front of Lu Pingan. He could tell that his family's patriarch was at his limit. Under these circumstances, escaping together seemed impossible. If the patriarch were to be captured by Lake Mountain, or die at the hands of the Lu family, it would be a devastating blow to the family. Thus, for the sake of the family, he decided to sacrifice himself to buy time for the patriarch. Fine. The patriarch knew hesitation was not an option at this moment. He slapped his spiritual pet bag, summoning the black-scaled eagle, then fell to his knees on its back to escape. But just then, swish! Nearby, Lu Lingxiao's talisman treasure emanated a powerful wave of mana, revealing a jade-green dagger. Slash! The jade-green dagger shot out like an invisible ribbon, tearing through the void and slicing into the wing of Patriarch Sima's black-scaled eagle, splattering blood across the sky. The black-scaled eagle let out a mournful cry and nearly plummeted from the air. Its wings flapped frantically to continue flying, but its speed was noticeably slower. Damn it! Patriarch Sima turned back abruptly, his eyes bloodshot, brimming with killing intent as he glared at Ling Zixiao. He hadn't expected the opponent to possess such a variety of techniques beyond formations, talisman formations, and third-rank talismans. Not only had she harmed his divine sense, but she also wielded such top-level talisman treasures. Too bad my lord's Thousand Faces puppet fox cannot directly engage, or there wouldn't have been so much trouble. Ling Zixiao's beautiful eyes remained calm and indifferent as she gazed at Patriarch Sima. Currently, the Thousand Faces puppet fox was inside the carriage and could only attack through divine consciousness secret techniques. Moreover, it had to pose as an exotic treasure technique, which greatly reduced its power. If it could directly engage, Patriarch Sima could easily be trapped in the illusion realm. Kill! Lu Pingon charged at Sima Tai, who obstructed his path. Though fatigued and his mana unstable, Sima Tai's condition was far worse. With a punch, the bronze bell wielded by Sima Tai trembled violently. His already pallid complexion turned deathly white, blood flowing from his 7 orifices. Yet, he still commanded the bronze bell to block Lu Pingon, simultaneously utilizing a secret technique to suppress his own injuries and buy time for his family patriarch. Whoosh! Lu Lingxiao, holding the jade-green dagger talisman treasure, soared into the sky and charged at Sima Tai, shouting, "Big brother, leave this to us. Go after that old Sima thief." Lu Rui and Zhou Datong joined in, surrounding Sima Tai. Understood. Lu Pingon glanced in the direction of Patriarch Sima and shot off like a beam of golden light, tearing through layers of air with a deafening speed. Pingon, make a bigger commotion. Try to ensure more people see it, Ling Zixiao transmitted her voice to Lu Pingon as a reminder. After a brief pause for thought, she transmitted her voice to the Thousand Faces puppet fox as well and said, "Thousand Faces, be cautious. Follow Pingon closely and observe." With that, the Thousand Faces puppet fox silently followed behind Lu Pingon. Damn it! Patriarch Sima, slumped on the black-scaled eagle's back, saw Lu Pingon pursuing him and his expression turned grim. His palms surged with mana, channeling it into the black-scaled eagle, forcing the spiritual bird to accelerate forward. Seeing this, Lu Pingon retrieved a divine wind talisman from his storage bag. His resplendent golden body was instantly enveloped in a vortex of azure wind, and with a roaring airflow, he flashed across the sky as if streaking lightning, stirring up a massive whirlwind behind him as he sped toward Patriarch Sima. The surrounding cultivators of various factions were alarmed by the scene before them. No one had expected the Sima family's false core patriarch to end up in such a pitiful state. And now he was being hunted down by Lu Pingon. It was worth noting that this false core patriarch was renowned for his prowess. Unlike Jin Zan, who was a newly ascended false core cultivator. Regardless of whether they were aligned with the Sima family or bore grudges against by Lake Mountain, none thought to intervene. A battle of this magnitude was beyond their ability to meddle. Boom! Seeing an opportunity, Lu Pingon summoned the black dragon halberd and hurled it fiercely toward Patriarch Sima. Whoosh! The black dragon halberd flew like a coiled flood dragon, clawing and snapping with a terrifying momentum that caused the black-scaled eagle to roar in anguish, another wing bleeding profusely. Damn it! Patriarch Sima formed a gesture incantation and struck his chest, seemingly suppressing his bodis injuries. He then retracted the black-scaled eagle and turned into a streak of black divine rainbow, shooting off in retreat. Lu Pingon continued his relentless pursuit. A few moments later, Patriarch Sima realized he couldn't maintain his condition for long. In such an open sky, his flight made him a glaring target, and shaking off Lu Pingon seemed impossible. Determined, he plunged down toward the mountain ranges below. The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Pingon saw this and pursued without hesitation. Ha! Landing amidst the dense forest, Lu Pingan scanned the surroundings but saw no trace or aura of Patriarch Sima. He realized that the opponent had used a secret technique to conceal his presence. Sweeping the area with his divine sense, he came up empty-handed. As expected of a false core master, truly adept in diverse techniques, Lu Pingan understood the adversary was still nearby. After some thought, he slapped his spiritual pet bag, summoning a massive golden rat. This was none other than the treasure-seeking mouse gifted to him by his father, Lu Chongqing. Have you caught this scent? Lu Pingan produced a fragment of the leveling ruler for the mouse, seeking Patriarch Sima's trail. Squeak squeak squeak, the seeking spirit mouse sniffed the fragment, then caught the traces of mana from their earlier battle, cautiously pointing toward a large tree ahead. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1252, Boom. SAR the novel, F. Higher. In website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Pingan's fist, glowing with golden light, suddenly slammed towards the large tree ahead. Bang! The large tree exploded instantly, turning into a swirling rain of wood fragments. A streak of black shadow suddenly darted into the air, fleeing swiftly in another direction. Seeing this, Lu Pingan continued his pursuit. Just like that, the two figures chases each other relentlessly. 3,000 miles south of Julian Mountain, amidst endless mountains, stood a mid-sized marketplace called Misty Rain Market, established by two foundation establishment loose cultivators as a base for itinerant cultivators. Though it was only a mid-sized marketplace, the two owners, being loose cultivators themselves, emphasized rules and proper management. Coupled with the plentiful demon beasts available for hunting in the surrounding vast mountains, the market was favored by many itinerant cultivators. Third Grandpa, I heard that owner Yen might have a chance to attain false core immortality in the future. Is that true? On a spirit boat, an elder stood with several young men and women. Among them, a young woman asked the elder. Owner Yen is indeed extraordinarily talented, having cultivated to foundation establishment 6th layer at the age of 100. But to break through to false core, it is difficult, extremely difficult, even if owner Yen reaches foundation establishment peak by the age of 150, breaking through to false core requires the aid of a third-order demon pill. Such a pill is not easily obtained. The elder shook his head as he replied. Owner Yen operates such a large marketplace, earning gold and spirit stones daily. Can't he afford a third-order demon pill? A young man exclaimed in surprise. Third-order demon pills are priceless, often auctioned for tens of thousands of spirit stones at least. The elder patted the youth's head and chuckled, saying, if they were easy to acquire, there wouldn't only be 6 false core families in the Qingyun region. Third Grandpa, then what about Lu Ancestor of By Lake Mountain? Could he have a chance to obtain a third-order demon pill and break through to false core? I heard that Lu Ancestor not only cultivates a dual cultivation technique with his Dao companion, comparable to a true pill master, but is also a second-grade talisman master and an alchemist. The young woman continued her inquiry. Currently, the name of By Lake Mountain was known throughout Qingyun region. Lu Mountain Lord likely has a considerable chance. The elder stroked his beard and said slowly, but when a tree stands above the forest, it invites the wind. By Lake Mountain has risen too quickly and its momentum is too strong. Now establishing a chamber of commerce, it is bound to attract targeted suppression from various family forces. Hence, Lu Mountain Lord's path to false core won't be easy. Moreover, it's rumored that Lu Mountain Lord has devoted all resources to nurturing the foundation establishment cultivators of his family, leaving no spirit stone reserves. This is why By Lake Mountain has been acting with such urgency lately. At his age, he enjoyed sharing past experiences and insights into the cultivation world with the younger generation of his family. Alright, well, arrive at Misty Rain Market shortly. During the auction, don't speak out of turn, and if you have questions, ask me privately," the elder advised while gazing forward at the marketplace nestled among the mountains, its lights shimmering with spiritual energy. However, just as he finished speaking, an overwhelming and terrifying pressure suddenly spread in their direction. He turned his head to look. In the air, a streak of black light fled swiftly. Behind it, a thunderous golden glow followed closely. Boom! The black light, spotting the spirit boat, suddenly waved its hand. Even with such a simple motion, it unleashed a tide-like force that destabilized the spirit boat, flipping it over completely. "Ah, third grandpa!" The cultivators on the spirit boat cried out in alarm. At this moment, amidst the thunderous golden glow, a tall and burly youth clad in shattered silver armor revealed himself. With a gesture, he steadied the spirit boat and stabilized it before propelling himself swiftly forward, continuing his pursuit of the black glow. Gulp! Gulp! The youths and elder aboard the spirit boat all swallowed dryly, their faces filled with stunned disbelief and lingering fear. "Third grandpa, what just happened?" After some time, a young man stared at the diminishing streaks of black and gold light, dazed and bewildered. The elder did not answer, he too was still rattled and unsettled. "That person who steadied our spirit boat, I feel like I've seen him somewhere before." A young woman aboard the spirit boat swallowed hard and spoke hesitantly. After a long pause, she suddenly exclaimed in realization, "I remember now. He looks like Lu Pingon, the eldest son of Lu ancestor from by Lake Mountain." The two streaks of escape light, naturally, belonged to Patriarch Sima and Lu Pingon. In terms of escape techniques, Patriarch Sima usually far surpassed Lu Pingon. But now, Patriarch Sima had self-detonated his magical treasure, severely damaging his vital energy, and his speed had been greatly reduced. Although Patriarch Sima employed various methods to shake off Lu Pingon along the way, Lu Pingon always managed to track him down using other means. Besides the seeking spirit mouse, he also had a second-grade flying beast, the silver-winged golden falcon, as well as several types of talismans. Under these circumstances, Patriarch Sima's injuries worsened steadily. Even with the aid of secret techniques, he could no longer suppress them. Even if he managed to escape back to his family now, it was uncertain how many heavenly and earthly treasures it would take to fully heal him. More critically, his inner core developed a slight crack due to forcibly channeling mana and secret techniques after the self-detonation of his life-bound magical treasure. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Pingon pressed the attack relentlessly, periodically launching second-grade lower-quality talismans at Patriarch Sima. Although second-grade lower-quality talismans typically couldn't harm a false core master like Patriarch Sima, the situation now was anything but ordinary. Damn it! Feeling the stabbing pain emanating from his body, meridians, dantian, and false core, Patriarch Sima's face turned pale as paper, revealing an expression of urgency. He knew that if this continued, his inner core might truly rupture. Once the inner core cracks, the chaotic and violent demonic power within would erupt uncontrollably. Even if he survived, he would be crippled. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1253, Lu Daoist, you're already heavily injured. If you continue the chase, you won't gain much. Why not let this end here? As long as you spare me, I am still willing to swear an oath upon my Tao heart, Sarch * the novel fire. In website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Patriarch Sima had abandoned his dignity, pleading for mercy, hoping that Lu Pingon would cease his pursuit. Lu Pingon paid no heed to these words. If it weren't for his aunt's instructions to create some commotion, he could have long subdued Patriarch Sima using talismans and the silver-winged golden falcon. There was no need for such a prolonged chase. This should be enough. At this moment, Lu Pingon noticed a marketplace just beyond, shrouded in spiritual light, resembling a small town, and pondered deeply. Delay breeds complications. If too much time is wasted, allowing reinforcements from the Sima family or their allies to show up, it would turn into a significant problem. Boom! Lu Pingan's figure erupted in golden light, surrounded by roaring winds and thunder. He swiftly closed in on Patriarch Sima, his gold-filled fist crashing down like the drum of a divine demon, stirring turbulent momentum. Pfft! The black-tinged figure of Patriarch Sima immediately coughed up blood and plunged from the sky. This is a false core immortal. False core combat. Quickly activate the formation. The intensity of the battle and the surge of mana caught the attention of many within Misty Rain Market, who raised their heads to observe the skies. The market's owner Yen detected the presence of two powerful auras and hurried to fully activate the Great Formation, enveloping the marketplace in its protection. She feared the battle's destruction might spill over into her territory. After all, when immortals fight, mortals suffer. If two false core cultivators were to battle within the market, the place would be half ruined and take decades to recover. I am true Pill Master Sima Tong of the Xuanwu Ridge Sima family. Fellow Taoists of the market, if you activate your formation to assist me in dealing with this crisis, the Sima family promises generous rewards afterward. Facing a life or death crisis, Patriarch Sima abandoned all pride and directly called out to Misty Rain Market for help. Even if the marketplace couldn't hold Lu Pingan off, it might at least give him a chance to escape. The Sima family of Xuanwu Ridge. Sima Tong, is this the false core patriarch from the Sima family? Who is this person that managed to chase the false core patriarch of the Sima family to such extremes? 80% of Misty Rain Market's population consisted of loose cultivators. While their experience varied, many had heard of the Sima family's renowned name. Upon hearing Patriarch Sima's plea, the marketplace erupted into exclamations and heated discussions. This is an enmity between Blue Lake Mountain and the Sima family. I ask that you refrain from interfering. Though Lu Pingan's aura was chaotic, he remained imposing, his voice firm and resounding. Blue Lake Mountain's Lu family. What? This individual hails from the Lu family of Blue Lake Mountain? When did the Lu family produce such a great cultivator, capable of bringing the Sima family's false core patriarch to this state? The cultivators within the marketplace reacted in shock upon hearing Lu Pingan's words. Though the Lu family of Blue Lake Mountain was not as acclaimed as the Sima family of Xuanwu Ridge, the names of Mountain Lord Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge were well known throughout the Qingyun region. Many loose cultivators regarded Lu Chongqing as an aspirational figure. Xuanwu Ridge, Blue Lake Mountain, from Misty Rain Peak, owner Yen observed the unfolding events outside, murmuring in thought. Initially, she considered lending a hand if the conflict was between a heretic cultivator and the Sima family, hoping for potential rewards. But hearing what was said, she immediately abandoned the idea. After all, getting involved in the grudge between two powerful families was equivalent to courting death for a small marketplace like theirs. That Patriarch Sima better not die in my Misty Rain Market. If the Sima family sends someone and blames us for standing by idly, we'll face disaster. Prefect, you watched the chaos outside, unease written all over her face. Fortunately, both combatants appeared to be in poor condition. The old man claiming to be the patriarch of the Sima family was swiftly subdued by the golden light-emitting youth after just a few moments, unable to even resist. He was then bound by a cord-like magic artifact. The youth didn't linger after victory, employing multiple techniques on the elder before departing, carrying him away on the back of a flying bird. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1254, Misty Rain Market. Countless cultivators gazed at the sky dome, trembling inwardly as Lu Pingan departed riding a spiritual bird. Although Patriarch Sima was gravely injured, his chi was withered, and his strength was down to less than 60% of his peak. But the overwhelming and shocking false core level spiritual pressure during the brief exchange earlier was unmistakably real. Yet such a lofty false core patriarch was being hunted down so miserably, suppressed and captured. And the one who called himself a cultivator from by Lake Mountain dragged this false core immortal like a prisoner behind his spiritual bird, completely disregarding the opinions of others. What was this? Was it an act of dominance? This was simply tyrannical, wasn't it? The Sima family of profound Marshall Ridge is an established false core family. Can By Lake Mountain really act like this without fearing their retaliation? Indeed, such behavior is outright humiliating, shamelessly blatant humiliation. If one has this level of strength, what is there to fear from the Sima family? When did By Lake Mountain produce such a formidable false core patriarch? This person doesn't seem like Lu Chongqing, the ancestor of the Lu family. Judging by his battle style, it's not that of a law cultivator but rather a body cultivator. A false core immortal, will I ever be able to touch this realm in my lifetime? Many cultivators whispered among themselves, hearts trembling with awe. Their eyes were fixed in the direction Lu Pingan had vanished, filled with reverence, fear, envy, aspiration, and other complex emotions. I heard that several months ago, in Red Leaf Valley Market under By Lake Mountain's domain, there were robbers causing havoc. The Lu family had a daughter who inherited the Lu family ancestors' talisman path legacy, who single-handedly killed 5 Foundation establishment cultivators. And now someone like this has emerged. The Misty Rain Market's prefect, Yen Lan, gazed at Lu Pingan as he departed, filled with a sense of awe. As a Foundation establishment cultivator and the prefect of a marketplace, she paid close attention to many matters of the cultivation world. I think this person resembles Lu Pingan, the eldest son of the Lu ancestor of By Lake Mountain. Beside her, Prefect Yu, dressed in a pale blue dress, charming in appearance and with an icy demeanor, spoke up. Lu Pingan. Yen Lan exclaimed in surprise. Isn't Lu Pingan only at Foundation establishment mid-stage? I can't say for sure, I just feel his appearance bears some similarity. Yu Fei gently shook her head and said softly, if this person truly is Lu Pingan of By Lake Mountain, then By Lake Mountain is poised for true ascension. I recall that the Lu ancestor of By Lake Mountain is not even 100 years old yet. If this person really is Lu Pingan of By Lake Mountain, then at this age, with such cultivation, isn't core formation within reach? Yen Lan's eyes revealed a trace of envy and longing. SAR the novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Both sisters had risen from being loose cultivators to their current position, surpassing 90% of other cultivators. But to advance further was akin to climbing the heavens. Seeing Lu Pingan's remarkable cultivation at such a young age, her heart was filled with emotion. Sister, the Sima family conducts itself with brutal dominance. Today, their false core patriarch sought aid from our market, but we turned him away. If they harbor resentment afterward, it could spell trouble for us. At this moment, the worry in Yu Fei's eyes became evident as she voiced her concerns. The Misty Rain Market was a decent establishment, reasonably renowned. But compared to an enormous force like the Sima family, it was insignificant. If the Sima family truly targeted them in retaliation, they wouldn't be able to withstand such fury. That possibility isn't out of the question. Yen Lan's expression grew serious as she spoke. Fair, do you have any suggestions? Their Misty Rain Market's growth had been achieved not only due to the sisters' strength but also because of their strategy of forging relationships and avoiding meddling in disputes between other forces. If this person truly is Lu Pingan of By Lake Mountain, I think we should pay a visit to By Lake Mountain, Yu Fei deliberated briefly before suggesting. Once the Lu family of By Lake Mountain successfully ascends to the ranks of false core families, they will inevitably expand their influence. If we pledge allegiance at this time, By Lake Mountain will likely welcome us and value our gesture as an act of loyalty. Sister, you are currently at Foundation Establishment's 6th layer. If you were to obtain a second-order high-grade breakthrough pill, you could advance to foundation establishment late stage sooner. By Lake Mountain has top-tier alchemists who can refine foundation establishment elixirs, so they should be able to craft second-order high-grade breakthrough pills. Not to mention, compared to the Sima family, By Lake Mountain's reputation is relatively favorable right now. Recently, the Lu family's matriarch, Lu Miaoge, even extended invitations to other forces for alliances. As Yu Fei spoke, she paused, looked at her sister, and smiled. Besides, the fame of the Lu ancestor of By Lake Mountain is widespread, and if sister is willing, before she could finish, Yan Lan lightly slapped her younger sister and interjected, "Stop teasing your sister like that. If you have such thoughts, your sister certainly wouldn't stop you." Ending the jest, she continued earnestly, "Since that's the plan, Fei, prepare a gift and head to By Lake Mountain to test their stance. Sister, you must be careful. If the Sima family grows aggressive, abandon the market if necessary." Yu Fei understood that her sister was stationed at the marketplace, and the arrival of the Sima family to interrogate them could bring potential dangers, so she reminded her earnestly. "Don't worry. Unless a false core patriarch comes in person, the market's great formation ensures that not even a foundation establishment late-stage cultivator could stand against me." Yan Lan smiled. Lu Pingan was oblivious to the ripple effects his actions at Misty Rain Market had caused. He was merely following the instructions of his aunt to stir up as much commotion as possible. Riding his spiritual bird and dragging Patriarch Sima, Lu Pingan raced toward the caravan's encampment. Along the way, some cultivators who had previously witnessed Lu Pingan relentlessly pursuing Patriarch Sima were now seeing this shocking sight. Upon this encounter, they responded respectfully and stepped aside without protest. When Lu Pingan returned to the Julian Mountain region riding his spiritual bird, dragging Patriarch Sima, all the spies monitoring the Lu family caravan were left speechless, their faces filled with shock. This, Patriarch Sima has been captured. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1255. All the cultivators looked horrified, unable to believe their eyes. At the time, they were far away and only saw Patriarch Sima trapped by formations and talisman formations, then using some unknown method to escape tragically. But they never expected that the renowned false core patriarch had failed to escape and was captured alive by Lu Pingan. This was utterly shocking. One must understand, among cultivators of the same level, subduing and suppressing the other was far more difficult than simply killing them. The Lu family has produced a dragon. A cultivator looked at the spiritual bird, atop which Lu Pingan stood, tall and imposing, clad in tattered armor, his throat dry as he stammered. They had all come from various factions, familiar with By Lake Mountain and Lu Pingan's situation. At such a young age, to possess such abilities, it was as if a flood dragon emerged from shallow waters. I always thought Lu Wangshu was the hope of this generation for the Lu family, but who would have guessed this Lu Pingan was hiding so deeply? Lu Chongqing rising from the status of a son-in-law to reach his current heights was already remarkable as a man of great fate, and now his son has surpassed him. Damn it, the ancestral graves of the Lu family must be glowing with gold. Lu Chongqing, Lu Pingan, Lu Wangshu, even the luckiest ancestral graves need to take a break sometimes. And then there's Ling Zixiao, the Lu family's lady has been dormant for years since establishing By Lake Mountain, and now, with one move, she laid a trap for a false core immortal. Quick, send messages back home and prepare gifts to visit By Lake Mountain. In that moment, everyone began contacting their own families. Some had already sent messages home earlier. But now, dissatisfied with the delay, they crushed their emergency communication talismans or rushed directly back to their clans. Big Brother. Big Pot. At the Lu family caravan's encampment, Lu Rui, Lu Lingxiao, Lu Lingyi, and others spotted Lu Pingan's return and immediately ran up to greet him. They could all see Lu Pingan's unstable aura and fatigued expression, understanding that chasing Patriarch Sima had been no simple task. Fine. Lu Pingan grinned, and with mana flowing from his palm, he dissolved the dried blood upon it, then ruffled his sister Lu Ling's hair. Turning to Ling Zixiao, he spoke, "Aunt, I did not fail your expectations. Pingan, you've worked hard for us." Ling Zixiao gazed at Lu Pingan, her lips gently pressed together, her voice soft. Even though she typically felt indifferent toward most Lu family disciples, at this moment, she found Lu Pingan quite remarkable. "Aunt, you're too kind, it's what I should do." Lu Pingan briefly recounted the process of hunting down Patriarch Sima. "Take a good rest, I've sent a message to your father, and he'll arrive later." Ling Zixiao spoke further. This battle, despite the Lu family caravan avoiding casualties, had left everyone in poor condition. Thus, she planned to return to Bai Lake Mountain to recuperate, preventing any chances of the Sima family or other factions launching another ambush. Meanwhile, word of Lu Pingan's clash with the Sima family could spread and ferment during this time. "Father is coming." Lu Pingan was slightly stunned but soon nodded, pointing at the unconscious Patriarch Sima and said, "Aunt, his condition is grave. If he isn't treated, he might die outright, or become permanently crippled." Back when Patriarch Sima was cornered, he had attempted to self-destruct his core formation, seeking mutual destruction. Fortunately, at the critical moment, interference from the Thousand Faces puppet fox allowed Lu Pingan to strike a decisive blow to his Qi Ocean core. This left Patriarch Sima in a state so dire it couldn't be any worse, on the brink of collapse. "All right." Ling Zixiao summoned a Lu family disciple to examine Patriarch Sima's condition. That disciple was a doctor. After observing Patriarch Sima's state, he couldn't help but click his tongue. "So this is the life force of a false core immortal." He sighed inwardly. If it were an ordinary cultivator, these injuries would have killed them countless times over. Faced with such a situation, he was utterly powerless. Seeing this, Ling Zixiao administered a few elixir medicines to Patriarch Sima to sustain his vitality. The man couldn't die now. If he did, he'd lose his value. After making basic arrangements, the caravan settled down to rest. Meanwhile, at Profound Martial Ridge, at the Sima family. How could this be? Wasn't the third elder accompanying the patriarch? How did his soul plate shatter? The Sima family head stared at the broken soul plate in the ancestral hall, his expression deeply grim. Although the Sima family had a strong foundation, losing 5 foundation establishment cultivators in one fell swoop was devastating. CTH Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. More importantly, these 5 weren't mere ordinary foundation cultivators. Sima Bo and the other 3 each possessed foundation establishment late-stage combat strength. Even a foundation establishment peak cultivator wouldn't stand a chance against all 4 simultaneously. Third Elder Sima Tai, with his 8th layer foundation building cultivation, was among the Sima family's top-tier forces. And now, they were all dead. For the Sima family, this loss was unimaginably dire, leaving them severely damaged in vitality. Could it be that the patriarch encountered some grave danger? The Sima family head eyed Patriarch Sima's soul plate, his brows furrowing as his mind raced. The third elder had accompanied the patriarch. If their enemies hadn't been overwhelmingly strong, it would have been impossible for the third elder to die under the patriarch's nose. Investigate. Quickly send someone to check, contact the patriarch, and find out what happened to the third elder. The Sima family head dared not contemplate further and immediately dispatched personnel to contact the patriarch to uncover what had transpired. Half a day later. At the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer. A rugged, burly figure tore through the wind layers silently, descending into the Julian mountain region. The figure was none other than Lu Chongqing, who had rushed over after receiving the news. Seeing Ling Zixiao and the others unharmed, with numerous cultivators focused on this area, Lu Chongqing found a secluded spot, where his face and form blurred before returning to his true appearance, unrivaled in handsomeness, akin to a banished immortal. Moments later, Lu Chongqing, clad in a green robe, slender and upright, with hands behind his back, stood atop a violet flying shuttle and approached the caravan's encampment. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1256, Father. Greetings, Father. Daddy. Paying respects to Lu ancestor. Everyone stationed at the resting point, upon seeing Lu Chongqing, immediately exclaimed joyfully and cupped their hands in salute. Lu Chongqing smiled and responded. He then turned his gaze to the dignified and elegant Ling Zixiao, asking, Zixiao, what's going on here? Although he had received a message, the distance was too far, and the sensing talisman wasn't able to convey precise details, so he didn't know the exact situation here. My lord, Ling Zixiao, her breath somewhat unsteady, softly recounted the general situation. Patriarch Sima. Hearing his wife's words, Lu Chongqing narrowed his eyes slightly and looked toward the unconscious Patriarch Sima not far off. He knew this trading journey would face many obstacles and had prepared accordingly, but he hadn't expected it to escalate to the point of a false core patriarch personally intervening. Pingan, you've worked hard. Lu Chongqing let out a light sigh, looked at his son Lu Pingan, stepped forward, and patted his shoulder as he spoke. He was well aware of his son Lu Pingan's combat prowess. Having just broken through to the 8th level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, he could handle someone like Jin Zan, a mediocre false core cultivator, with no problem. But against a powerhouse like Patriarch Sima, a false core immortal with divine skills and magical treasures, he was no match. Rui, Shower, you've worked hard as well. Lu Chongqing then turned his gaze to his other children and said warmly. He then looked toward Zhou Datong and said, as long as you do your job well, my Lu family will never mistreat our own. Please rest assured, Lu ancestor, this humble one wouldn't dare have second thoughts. Zhou Datong replied hastily, his tone filled with reverence. He had initially been quite reluctant, but after witnessing Lu Pingan's strength and Ling Zixiao's methods, he no longer harbored any dissent. Well, handle matters as you've suggested, Zixiao. Let's return first. Without saying much more, Lu Chongqing departed with Ling Zixiao, Lu Pingan, Lu Lingxiao, and others. As for the goods, Lu Rui and Zhou Datong were tasked with transporting them to the nearest marketplace. These storage crates mostly contained supplies, each one weighing tens of thousands of pounds. Unless Lu Chongqing used nascent soul-level mana, it would be impossible to transport them all at once. However, the storage crates were marked with prohibitions, ensuring they wouldn't easily be stolen. Seeing Lu Chongqing lead Lu Pingan, Ling Zixiao, and the others away, the spies and cultivators observing the Lu family caravan also dispersed, hurrying back to report the news to their respective factions. Several days later, a piece of news spread like wildfire, shaking the entire Qingyun region. Countless family forces and cultivators were left stunned. The Sima family of Profound Martial Ridge had sent the renowned Sima Sijia to ambush the Lu family caravan, only for all of them to be slain by the Lu family. Afterward, Patriarch Sima Tong of the Sima family went to seek revenge. The Lu family's matriarch, Ling Zixiao, set up a great formation and an ambush. She and the Lu family's eldest son, Lu Pingan, forced the Sima family's patriarch to detonate his own magical treasure to escape the formation. SEA the Novel Fire, any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But ultimately, he was still subdued and captured by the Lu family's eldest son, Lu Pingan. This news was like a boulder thrown into a calm lake, stirring up a tempest of waves. Countless people were dumbfounded, unable to believe it, and hotly debated the matter, finding it utterly astonishing. The Sima Sijia. It said that the four brothers once slew several Foundation Establishment late-stage cultivators, even repelling Foundation Establishment peak cultivators. Though not comparable to the Immortal sects elites, they were extraordinary, yet they were completely wiped out by the Liu family. The Sima family's false core patriarch was subdued by the Liu family. This is simply unbelievable. Even with the formation and an ambush, such a feat seems impossible, doesn't it? This battle, though witnessed by few firsthand, nonetheless caused an uproar. Discussions ran rampant among small families and loose cultivator outposts. This news was simply too shocking. The world was about to witness the rise of a new false core family. At that very moment, the Lingxi Xia family, the Diyuan Mountain Yuan family, the profound Marshall Ridge Sima family, the Jinlong Ridge Jin family, and other false core families, as well as numerous Foundation Establishment families, were left in a state of disbelief upon hearing reports from their spies. Quasi-third order body refining. Third rank talismans. Talisman formation techniques. Listening to the account of the battle involving Ling Zixiao, Lu Pingan, and the Sima Patriarch, they were all stunned beyond words. Although this battle could be attributed to favorable timing, advantageous terrain, and unity of purpose, the Liu family's efforts were exhaustive. Still, no matter how one looked at it, Lu Pingan's age and combat prowess left them all unsettled. Even if they weren't particularly concerned about Lu Pingan's current strength, they couldn't ignore his future potential. They often claimed their own prodigies were capable of nascent soul breakthroughs and had the potential to form a nascent soul, but in their hearts, they all knew that fewer than 1 in 10 could truly achieve it. Lu Pingan, however, demonstrated the kind of potential that truly promised nascent soul achievement. He was already on par with the true inheritors of the Immortal sects. Even though the Liu family lacked the conditions provided by the Immortal sects, given enough time to develop, there was a 3 to 4 chance he could form a nascent soul. If a nascent soul was achieved, the Blue Lake Mountain Liu family would become a nascent soul noble family. Although false core families stood tall and were regarded as great clans, they were as different from nascent soul noble families as clouds differ from mud. Lingxi Lake, Xia family. I didn't expect Lu Pingan to have concealed his strength that day. Could it be that the Liu family deliberately laid a trap? Upon hearing the news, Xiang was filled with shock and unease, but also relief that his family had not antagonized the Liu family and that he himself had shown restraint toward the Liu family caravan at the time. Otherwise, he and his 2 companions might already have become piles of bones. Looking at his family head, he said, "Family head, prepare a generous gift. I'll head to Blue Lake Mountain immediately to offer congratulations." Previously, though the Lingxi Xia family was willing to collaborate with Blue Lake Mountain, they did so with a condescending attitude, waiting for Blue Lake Mountain to approach them first. Now, having received the scouts' report, they set aside their arrogance completely, regarding the Blue Lake Mountain Liu family as equals and proactively going to congratulate them. Diyuan Mountain, Yuan family. What? Sima Tong was subdued and captured by Blue Lake Mountain's Lu Pingan. Upon hearing the report from his family scout, the Yuan family head's expression turned to one of shock and disbelief. He knew that the Yuan family had not only sent people to ambush the Liu family caravan but had also been involved in the matter at Red Leaf Valley before. He immediately convened a family meeting to discuss the matter. As they deliberated, a voice filled with authority resounded. "If Blue Lake Mountain has risen to such strength, I, this old patriarch, shall personally visit and offer apologies for the past incidents." A middle-aged man with thick eyebrows and a steady demeanor, dressed in a purple brocade robe, entered the council hall and spoke. "Greetings to the patriarch. Greetings to the patriarch." All the people in the hall saluted the man upon seeing him. This man was none other than the Yuan family's false core patriarch, Yuan Qingshan. The Yuan family head and the family elders glanced at each other in astonishment upon hearing his words. Though Blue Lake Mountain now had a false core level strength standing guard, was it enough to warrant their patriarch personally visiting to offer apologies? Now that Blue Lake Mountain is at odds with the Sima family, there's no need for us to get involved. The Yuan family patriarch said calmly. As a false core great clan, the Yuan family naturally didn't fear Blue Lake Mountain, but since the friction between the two sides was minor, he didn't want matters to escalate into a full-fledged conflict requiring large-scale combat. Wouldn't it be better to let Blue Lake Mountain and the Sima family, as well as the Jin family, fight each other to the death? Of course, the reason he was willing to lower his stature and personally visit to make amends was the Liu family's newly demonstrated true false core level strength, capable of subduing Patriarch Sima. Otherwise, how could a mere foundation establishment family warrant an apology from him, a distinguished false core patriarch? The patriarch is wise. Everyone in the hall applauded and cupped their hands toward their patriarch. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1257, Xuanwu Ridge, Sima Family. The Sima family received the news about their patriarch immediately. Search *the novel, F. Higher. Ed website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At first, they could not believe what they had heard. How could their patriarch, a false core immortal, possibly be suppressed by a junior from the Liu family? After multiple confirmations, they immediately notified Sima Yu, another false core patriarch stationed outside. Nearby Lake Mountain, how dare they humiliate my Sima family like this? When Sima Yu arrived back at the family, he was utterly enraged. The nascent soul seed had been slain. The false core patriarch was suppressed and captured. This was an undeniably loud slap in the face. It was utterly humiliating for the Sima family of Xuanwu Ridge, turning them into a laughingstock across the Jiang country cultivation realm. From now on, whenever anyone mentioned the Sima family, they would say their false core patriarch was suppressed by a junior from Bai Lake Mountain. I will go to Bai Lake Mountain right now and see who gave them such audacity. Sima Yu's face was haggard, full of wrinkles, and his posture slightly hunched, yet he radiated a terrifying, predatory aura like a wolf king poised to devour. Though he did not have much life left, with only a few decades remaining, the accumulation of over 100 years of cultivation since forming the false core had made his divine skills, magical treasures, and combat prowess far superior to Sima Tong's. Patriarch, please quell your anger. Patriarch, stay calm. Patriarch, I have already dispatched a messenger to Qingyun's sect to notify the 13th sister. The Sima family head and several senior members scrambled to calm the fuming patriarch. Having just suffered such a disgraceful incident, the family was experiencing widespread turmoil. They could not afford another mishap. If anything were to happen to Sima Yu, if he were to meet any misfortune, it would spell the total ruin of the Sima family. Patriarch, the family needs you to remain here to preside over our affairs. Regarding the second elder's predicament, I am confident 13th sister will be able to resolve it. The Sima family head earnestly and painstakingly persuaded him. Though the family's false core patriarch had been captured, and 5 foundation establishment cultivators killed, as long as Sima Yu, this false core immortal, remained present, their family would retain stability, and other forces would not dare to push too far or break ties completely. After all, if relationships were severed and open conflict broke out, even a few foundation establishment cultivators could disrupt a major faction's peace, let alone a false core immortal. If this false core patriarch met with misfortune, there would be no deterrent, and other factions would rush in like ravenous wolves to devour and dismantle the Sima family entirely. Even though the Sima family could boast deep reserves and cultivate another false core immortal quickly, the losses to their assets and influence would be immense. Inform the 13th sister that, no matter the cost, she must bring back the second elder. Sima Yu understood that he had to remain seated at the heart of the family as their deterrent for now. Moreover, his words were merely bluster. Not to mention by Lake Mountain's possession of Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, and Lu Pingan, three powerful false core combatants, even just Ling Zixiao and the Bai Lake Mountain Great Formation alone would be enough to foil his efforts. If he truly set foot on Bai Lake Mountain to start a battle, it would only lead to his own destruction. Please rest assured, Patriarch. With 13th sister stepping forward, Bai Lake Mountain will have no choice but to yield. The Sima family head spoke with a heavy tone. The Sima family had a legacy spanning over 1,000 years, with extensive connections to various factions, including a notable foothold within Qingyun sect. Especially in this generation, the Sima family had a direct descendant who was a disciple of Jade Branch Immortal from Qingyun sect. While Jade Branch Immortal was merely a false core immortal, her Dao companion was none other than the peak master of Red Sun Peak within Qingyun sect, a real person Qiyang. As long as the family's esteemed cousin could persuade this nascent soul immortal to intervene, even with just a nod or a written decree, Bai Lake Mountain would have no choice but to hand over the captive. Sima Yu nodded slightly, then turned toward the Sima family head with a grim expression. He said gravely, I've heard that Lu Pingan from Bai Lake Mountain is only just over 60 years old. To possess false core level body refinement strength at that age, he must have extraordinary fortune and great secrets. Immediately dispatch people to investigate his background and compile as detailed information as possible. Sima Yu's eyes, beneath his thick brows, gleamed coldly and piercingly, exuding a chilling sharpness. Even as an experienced false core patriarch, he couldn't help but feel astonished and develop murderous intent upon hearing of Lu Pingan's circumstances. After all, body cultivation was an incredibly time-consuming, resource-draining path. For someone of Lu Pingan's age to achieve such a level of refinement was nothing short of unprecedented. Anyone with foresight could see that, barring an untimely death, Lu Pingan had a strong probability of breaking through to third-order body refining. The thought of such a possibility sent shivers down Sima Yu's spine. Do not worry, Patriarch, I've already sent people to investigate Lu Pingan's information. The Sima family head bowed respectfully. Golden Dragon Ridge, Jin family. When the Jin family's senior members heard about the events between Bai Lake Mountain and the Sima family, they were utterly dumbfounded. Earlier, upon hearing of the Sima family's major movements, they had been brimming with glee. They thought the Sima family's operation would resolve the threats posed by Lu Pingan and Ling Zixiao. But unexpectedly, scouts had now reported that the Sima Sijia were dead. Even the Sima family's false core patriarch had been suppressed by Lu Pingan. What madness was this? Had it not been confirmed through multiple channels, they wouldn't have believed it. Years ago, we sent someone to probe White Tiger Mountain, but one of them was shot dead by an arrow. It must have been Lu Pingan who acted. A Jin family elder recalled an incident and spoke up. This Lu Pingan hides so deeply. No, it's more accurate to say Bai Lake Mountain hides deeply. Lu Pingan, Lu Wangshu, Lu Qingxian, each one is keeping their secrets under wraps. Family head, what should we do about this? The Jin family's senior members all had grim expressions. Their Jin family of Golden Dragon Ridge had long harbored a mortal enmity with Bai Lake Mountain. Unlike Xuanwu Ridge, which was far from Bai Lake Mountain, the Jin family not only bordered Bai Lake Mountain, but was also adjacent to White Tiger Mountain. If Lu Pingan were to remain stationed at White Tiger Mountain long-term, wouldn't Golden Dragon Ridge have to maintain perpetual high alert? If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know and report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1258, This Matter, It's Better to Seek the Advice of the Ancestor. The patriarch of the Jin family said with a bitter smile. The Jin family was already severely weakened, barely able to maintain its status and stabilize the clan situation. But now, with Lu Pin gone, such a formidable force emerging in by Lake Mountain, the balance between the two families might soon be reversed. A quarter of an hour later, the patriarch of the Jin family, along with several elders, arrived at Golden Dragon Peak to meet Jin Zan. What? Sima Tong suppressed by Lu Pin gone. How is that possible? Inside the main hall, Jin Zan immediately expressed disbelief upon hearing the patriarch's words. After all, Sima Tong had broken through to the false core level decades ago and possessed a life-bound magic treasure, his battle prowess far surpassing Jin Zan's own. Yet, such a seasoned false core immortal was suppressed by Lu Pin gone, a junior from the Lu family. Search * the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If he didn't know that the patriarch and others wouldn't dare joke about this, he would have thought they were trying to deceive him. Why does heaven favor this Lu Chongqing so much? Seeing that everyone's expressions were grave, Jin Zan looked to the sky and sighed deeply, his eyes filled with both envy and helplessness. He had also become aware of the recent events involving Lu Wangshu and Lu Qingxian. So upon hearing this news, his first reaction wasn't fear of Bai Lake Mountain's current strength. Rather, he feared Bai Lake Mountain's future potential. Feared that Bai Lake Mountain might still be holding back its true power. Because it was simply too astonishing. Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge, a pair cultivating a dual cultivation technique. Lu Wangshu, inheriting Lu Changsheng's talisman path legacy. Lu Qingxian, who had just broken through to Foundation establishment but managed to kill 2 of their Foundation establishment clansmen. Lu Pin gone, so young yet already possessing false core level combat power. And a single Lu family disciple, Lu Qingshan, now accepted into an immortal sect in Yu country. Thinking of these Lu family talents gave Jin Zan a profound sense of powerlessness. Although the Jin family did have a few promising seeds of talent, they paled in comparison to Lu Pin gone, Lu Qingshan, and Lu Wangshu. Furthermore, the family's foundation had been drained while supporting him to break through to the false core level. Now, the clan didn't have the resources to cultivate new nascent soul seeds and could only barely maintain a decent number of Foundation establishment cultivators. Consolidate the family's forces further, stabilize the current situation, and observe the developments. Sima family has suffered this humiliation. They won't let it slide easily, so we'll watch their response first. Jin Zan sighed heavily, his tone filled with weariness. In his youth, he had been ambitious and radiated vitality. But ever since the previous Jin family patriarch was killed by a heretic cultivator, leaving the family's survival entirely on his shoulders, he had become cautious and prudent in all matters. Though the Wang family is declining, a skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. Years ago, I heard that the Wang family had always been seeking marriage alliances with other powers. Xiao Zhou, go contact them and gauge their attitude. After some contemplation, Jin Zan continued. 5 elements Wang family. The Jin family patriarch froze upon hearing this. He had considered this matter before as well. But the Wang family was under the jurisdiction of the Wuxia sect. Moreover, the Wang family's relationship with the beast-taming Su family was poor. If their clan tried to curry favor with the Wang family, it might provoke the Su family's displeasure. As if reading the Jin family patriarch's concerns, Jin Zan added, the Su family and the Shengguan family can also be approached. Yes, ancestor. The Jin family patriarch and others nodded heavily in response, their hearts burdened with the implications. They understood that the ancestor was preparing to surrender a portion of their interests to forge alliances and leverage external powers. By Lake Mountain. The news of Lu Pingon and Ling Zixiao suppressing the false core patriarch spread wildly across the outside world, and the Lu family disciples naturally caught wind of it. Many of them noticed their fathers welcoming their concubines and elder brothers back home, realizing that the news wasn't just a rumor, it was likely true. I thought Wang Shu was already invincible, but who would have guessed that my elder brother, a false core immortal. My elder brother suppressed a false core immortal. Doesn't that mean my elder brother has achieved false core immortal status? Our family has become a false core level clan. Many Lu family disciples were thrilled and ecstatic. Meanwhile, cultivators and representatives from many family forces arrived at Bai Lake Mountain to verify the authenticity of the rumors. It is true. Lu Chongqing, Lu Pingan, and Ling Zixiao did not appear in public. Lu Xingyang and Lu Miaoge confirmed the matter directly. During the exchanges, Lu Miaoge revealed shocking news to families with good relations with hers. Her husband, Lu Chongqing, had advanced to third-rank talisman master. Third-rank talisman master. Hiss. 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 Upon hearing this bombshell, these people were visibly shocked and audibly gasped in amazement. A third-rank talisman master might not have the status of a nascent soul immortal, but it was equivalent to a false core immortal. Especially Lu Chongqing, the talisman master, who also mastered Talisman Path Legacy. He had once joined forces with Lu Miaoge to defeat the false core immortal Jin Zan. Now that the Lu family had stable access to third-rank talismans, even ordinary false core immortals might not be a match for Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge together. Congratulations to Lady Lu, congratulations to Mountain Lord Lu. Congratulations to Ancestor Lu on advancing to third-rank talisman master. A nascent soul breakthrough is in sight. These family elders were astonished, and they each expressed their congratulatory remarks. This news was incredibly impactful. No less shocking than the information about Lu Pingan suppressing Sima Patriarch. With Lu Chongqing publicly claiming the title of third-rank talisman master and Lu Pingan possessing false core level battle strength, the Lu family of Bai Lake Mountain had indisputably solidified its reputation as a false core level clan. 2 months from now, at my daughter Wangshu's foundation establishment ceremony, my husband will offer several third-rank talismans as gifts for auction. If you could help spread the word, and if anyone possesses heavenly and earthly treasures sought by our Lu family, they may exchange them for third-rank talismans. Lu Miaoge, dressed in a simple white palace gown, her jet-black silky hair shaped into an ethereal celestial bun adorned with several azure jade beads, added a touch of elegance and nobility to her serene and refined face. Professions such as array masters, alchemists, artifact refiners, and talisman masters often authenticated their rank with sales of corresponding elixirs, artifacts, or talismans. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1259. Of course, aside from this method, one could also go to certain organizations or forces to undergo evaluations, thereby indirectly gaining fame. Lu Chongqing naturally chose the simplest method, taking out a few talismans to sell and auction. Though such things might be falsified, few people would be willing to use third-rank talismans for deception or name-building. Moreover, such falsehoods would inevitably lead to suspicion over time. Lu Mountain Lord is truly magnanimous. Lady Lu, rest assured, upon returning, I will certainly promote your esteemed family well. Lady Lu, may I ask what kind of heavenly and earthly treasures your esteemed family currently requires? The cultivators present, upon hearing these words, all spoke with excitement and enthusiasm. In Lu Changsheng's eyes, third-rank talismans were no longer anything special. But to these cultivators, they were incomparably rare. Having a third-rank talisman was essentially equivalent to possessing a life-saving artifact. In times of danger, merely unveiling a third-rank talisman would be enough to deter most Foundation establishment cultivators. Materials for the Foundation establishment elixir are the same as before. Lu Miaoge replied with a graceful smile, exuding an elegant demeanor. Sir, the novel fire. In the website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Gradually, cultivators began arriving at Bai Lake Mountain to visit. Apart from offering congratulations and probing for information, many families also came seeking cooperation, with some even proactively pledging allegiance to the Lu family. The cultivation world is unpredictable and ever-changing. One might unexpectedly encounter trouble or cross paths with heretic cultivators or robber cultivators. Though these families were under the jurisdiction of the Qingyun sect, the Qingyun sect rarely intervened in family affairs under their rule. It was only upon encountering heretics or demon cultivators that they would send someone to investigate and resolve the matter. If two families were at odds or clashing, as long as the situation did not escalate excessively or cause too much of a commotion, the Qingyun sect typically turned a blind eye. In the event of requesting the Qingyun sect to intervene and uphold justice, both participating families would have to pay a heavy price. Thus, these family forces preferred to seek out their own protectors. However, the families seeking by Lake Mountain's protection were not fools either. Most were in unfavorable circumstances, hoping to leverage by Lake Mountain's reputation to overcome their crises. Alternatively, they foresaw that by Lake Mountain, as a false core family, would undoubtedly expand its influence, and by pledging allegiance now, they might gain benefits from the Lu family, possibly earn a share of the profit. Regarding allegiance, esteemed seniors and Taoists may discuss the details with me later. Lu Xingyang addressed the family patriarchs expressing intentions to pledge allegiance. The family had indeed discussed this beforehand and planned to recruit several subordinate families to perform tasks for them. However, the Lu family would not indiscriminately accept just any family force. Apart from disseminating selective information during visits from other families, Lu Chongqing also directed the family to publicly and covertly promote his status as a third-rank talisman master, as well as the specifics of Lu Pingan's battle with Patriarch Sima, emphasizing the significance of third-rank talismans. After all, Lu Pingan subduing a false core patriarch at his age was rather astonishing. It was necessary to ease the shock somewhat through such information. The role of being a third-rank talisman master, along with the third-rank talismans and prelate formations, provided a reasonable explanation for how Lu Pingan managed to subdue and capture Patriarch Sima. At this moment, within a secret chamber, Lu Chongqing brought Binger with him and was using the Six Desires Heart Demon technique on Patriarch Sima. It was not a soul search. Rather, it was simply a method of disturbing the soul to extract certain information about the Sima family from the opponent, such as financial resources, cultivation technique, inheritance, and other secrets. With his Tai divine soul comparable to the peak of core formation, employing such methods on a false core opponent like Patriarch Sima was naturally effortless. However, his Six Desires Heart Demon technique lacked the cultivation from the 7 emotions and 6 desires, which resulted in mediocre effects. He could only obtain superficial details. For deeper information, the opponent's subconscious would resist, potentially awakening them. The Sima family has managed to stand strong for so many years, they do have some foundation. Lu Chongqing chuckled lightly. Though the Sima family only had 2 false core immortals, their heritage was exceptional. If needed, they could cultivate a false core immortal in the shortest time possible. However, to the Sima family, having 2 false core immortals in residence was already sufficient. Nurturing additional false core immortals would only result in wasted resources. They would consider training new false core members only after their current ones passed away, thus maintaining the family's continuity. Moreover, Lu Chongqing learned that the Sima family possessed a significant heritage, their ancestral mysterious turtle. This mysterious turtle currently had the status of a quasi-third-rank entity, remaining in long-term slumber. Perhaps, after a few hundred years, it could ascend to the 3rd rank. This type of turtle-based spiritual beast truly is well suited to serve as a clan guardian spirit beast, Lu Chongqing reflected inwardly. The beast-taming Su family had a mysterious turtle spirit beast, the Sima family had one, and he recalled the spirit-taming sect seemed to have one as well. This brought Lu Changsheng's thoughts back to his own cold blue dark turtle. Yet, the growth of such turtle-based spiritual beasts was exceedingly slow. 40 years had passed, and this cold blue dark turtle had just advanced to the middle stage of the first grade. Even Lu Chongqing couldn't help but feel speechless. Lu Wangshu was equally unimpressed with its growth speed. After all, this cold blue dark turtle wasn't raised in the wild. It was well fed and cared for, often placed inside ancient beast taming charms for accelerated cultivation. Should I perhaps? Lu Chongqing stared at Patriarch Sima before him, his thoughts stirring. Considering that once Sima Tong was ransomed back, he could find an opportunity to deal with the Sima family's other false core cultivator, Sima Yu. This way, the Sima family would be reduced to a level similar to the Jin family, posing much less of a threat. After all, Patriarch Sima Tong's self-destruction of his life-bound magic treasure damaged his foundation, and his combat strength would likely be inferior to Jin Zan, who was a mere blank slate false core. Master. At that moment, the voice of Mount Sumro echoed in Lu Changsheng's mind, informing him of an anomaly in Bai Ling's cocoon of light. All right. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing immediately ensured Patriarch Sima Tong remained unconscious and departed with Binger towards the Chongqing Hole. Inside the cave mansion, upon the bed. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1260, the white golden cocoon formed by Bai Ling emanated a faint, sacred radiance, accompanied by the subtle sound of cracking. Crack, 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 as the cracking sounds continued to echo, tiny fissures began to appear on the cocoon. When the fissures spread densely across its surface, the entire cocoon suddenly split apart, emitting an endless torrent of dazzling, sacred white light that illuminated the entire cave mansion. Brother, amidst the sacred and dazzling radiance, a voice filled with joy resounded. Bai Ling appeared standing in the midst of the luminescence, her graceful and alluring figure as snow-white and smooth as jade. Her silky black hair cascaded down to her waist and hips, while her complexion bore a striking harmony of black and white hues. Her delicate and pure features, paired with her enchanting and curvaceous figure, seemed more refined and mature than before, radiating an irresistible beauty. The most noticeable change, however, was the disappearance of the white golden scales previously on her skin. Sir the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Her skin was now soft and smooth like that of an ordinary person, glimmering faintly as if dusted with pearl powder. It was luminous and pinkish, exuding an unparalleled allure. Brother, I'm pregnant. Bai Ling's soft and graceful figure embraced Lu Chongqing, her misty eyes resembling blooming peach blossoms, brimming with excitement. Pregnant. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing was also pleasantly surprised. Earlier, after they had mostly expended the effects of the yin-yang integration spirit pill, Bai Ling had suddenly fallen into slumber, forming a cocoon, which had made him worry she might not have conceived. If she hadn't conceived, the yin-yang integration spirit pill would have been wasted. Now, hearing Bai Ling's words, his heart finally settled, filled with anticipation for the birth of this child. Come, let me take a look. Lu Chongqing smiled and lightly touched Bai Ling's smooth and flat abdomen. He felt that her skin was incredibly delicate and soft, providing an indescribable sensation. A moment later, he could sense a faint trace of life from within Bai Ling's abdomen. Since it had been conceived only recently, he could not discern any distinct characteristics of this life form. Additionally, the yin-yang integration spirit pill within Bai Ling's body had not been fully metabolized. A portion of its medicinal power would be consumed gradually as the fetus developed, nourishing the unborn child. Linger, was that a bloodline awakening just now? Lu Chongqing gazed at the exquisite, pure beauty of Bai Ling before him and asked in a gentle tone. Bai Ling nodded joyously. She explained that under the stimulation of the yin-yang integration spirit pill's power, the strength of her bloodline had been awakened, allowing her to inherit certain aspects of the bloodline's legacy. Included in the legacy was a cultivation technique. Moreover, she instinctively gained control over her bodice demonization. This involved the serpent scales that surfaced on her skin. Bloodline inheritance. Demonization. Lu Chongqing was slightly astonished upon hearing this. He hadn't anticipated that Bai Ling's bloodline awakening would grant her a bloodline inheritance. Typically, only demon beasts that had ascended to the third-rank demon king level could awaken their bloodline inheritance, or obtain innate divine abilities. Bai Ling had merely possessed a trace of the demon race's bloodline. Under such circumstances, bloodline inheritance should have been extremely difficult to achieve. However, this indirectly indicated that Bai Ling's bloodline was far from ordinary. It was highly likely, as Hong Lian had mentioned, to be a true spirit bloodline. Little Linger, do you have any knowledge of the bloodline inside you? Lu Chongqing asked, his curiosity piqued. I think it's called Bai Shi. Bai Ling replied hesitantly. Her bloodline inheritance was incomplete, offering only sparse information. Bai Shi. Lu Chongqing raised an eyebrow, unfamiliar with this demon beast. He planned to ask Hong Lian about it later. Next, he inquired about the cultivation technique included in Bai Ling's bloodline inheritance. He wanted to determine the grade of this technique. Brother, the cultivation technique is called the Immortal Rhapsody Manual. Bai Ling, facing Lu Chongqing, naturally withheld nothing and spoke candidly about this inherited technique. Immortal Rhapsody Manual, Lu Chongqing expressed mild surprise, feeling that the name didn't resemble a demon race cultivation technique. Through Bai Ling's detailed explanation, he learned that it was an uncommon path of music cultivation technique, specializing in sound-based spells. Grade-wise, it seemed to fall somewhere between peripheral sect level and orthodox level. However, the manual could only be cultivated up to the 4th rank, resembling a prelude technique to another advanced one. Perhaps, when Bai Ling reached a certain level of cultivation and her bloodline awakened further, she might obtain a continuation of the manual or an upgraded version of it. Tisk, bloodline inheritance from the demon race truly is considerate. Even with partial bloodline awakening, one can gain access to such a top-tier technique. Lu Chongqing commented in amazement. Although he possessed numerous cultivation techniques ranging from peripheral sect level to orthodox level, and even true immortal level techniques, for most cultivators, peripheral sect level techniques already qualified as top tier. Bai Ling was still at the foundation establishment stage. Yet, with just partial bloodline awakening, she had obtained a top-tier technique. Should the bloodline continue to awaken and even reactivate ancestral traits, she might acquire techniques of profound mystery level or even true immortal level in the future. Merely this inherited technique was enough for Lu Chongqing to realize how extraordinary Bai Ling's, Bai Shi bloodline truly was. It was undoubtedly a true spirit-level bloodline. Brother, while I was sleeping, my cultivation technique automatically converted into the Immortal Rhapsody Manual. From now on, I won't be able to help you raise snakes or fish anymore. At this point, Bai Ling lightly pursed her red lips and spoke with a hint of sadness. She had always wanted to assist Lu Chongqing, to do something for him. Previously, Lu Chongqing had entrusted her with nurturing the Blackwater Jiaolong Dao troops and raising demon beasts, tasks she diligently performed. This gave her a sense of being needed. However, now that her cultivation technique had automatically transformed into the Immortal Rhapsody Manual, she could no longer utilize Black Dragon power to cultivate Dao soldiers. It's fine. As for the Dao soldiers, I'll assign the task to someone else later. Little Linger, you're pregnant now, so you need to rest more. Lu Chongqing dismissed the concern without hesitation, chuckling as he spoke, lifting Bai Ling's soft and warm delicate figure and sitting down beside her. Currently, aside from Lu Pingan, a few of their other children had cultivated the Black Dragon Codex. As long as they broke through Foundation establishment, they could use mana to cultivate the Blackwater Jiaolong Dao troops. Bai Ling happily nestled into Lu Changsheng's arms, gently touching her flat abdomen, still immersed in the joy of pregnancy. Finally, she had her own baby. Looking at her tender and rosy skin, Bai Ling timidly murmured, "Brother, if you prefer Linger's original appearance, Linger can transform back." Although Lu Changxing didn't mind the scales on her body, her childhood experiences had left her uneasy about these scales. She worried whether Lu Changsheng's usual reassurances were sincere or merely to comfort her. Now that she could freely demonize and control the manifestation of the scales, she was thrilled. "Linger, no matter your appearance, brother likes you just the same." Lu Changxing smiled, pinching her smooth cheek as he replied. He couldn't deny that Bai Ling's skin felt utterly divine. "Father, Sister Linger, would you like to play games?" At that moment, Binger, acting as the proverbial third wheel, saw the two embracing flirtatiously and spoke, her clear and innocent eyes twinkling. Ah! Bai Ling's flawless cheeks immediately turned crimson upon hearing this. "Since Binger suggests it, little Linger, let's accompany her for a while." Seeing Bai Ling's reaction, Lu Changxing let his hand trail across her smooth and supple figure, smiling slightly as he replied in a gentle tone. During the game, Lu Changxing remembered Bai Ling's demonization ability and asked her to transform back to her original appearance. Not because of anything else, he simply wanted to affirm his previous compliments on her demonized look. Bai Ling's graceful and alluring figure was soon covered in a thin layer of glimmering scales. These scales resembled her original ones but were more refined and sophisticated. Upon hearing Bai Ling mention that the scales could originate at will across her body, Lu Changxing made a request for her to alter them as he saw fit. A moment later, Bai Ling, who was already enchanting, now wrapped in a faint veil of crystalline scales, had her allure reach an utterly irresistible peak. When Bai Ling activated her demonization ability to the fullest extent, her scaled skin transformed into a set of crystalline armor imbued with luminous brilliance. This armor was exceptional. Its defensive prowess was nearly equivalent to Foundation Establishment peak. Lu Changxing couldn't help but marvel internally, this wasn't just an awakened ability. This was undoubtedly an innate divine skill. Yet Bai Ling's gentle personality meant that, even with such an extraordinary ability, she wouldn't seek conflict. After all, once the games ended, Lu Changxing took the exhausted Bai Ling and Binger to bed. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1261, The Zhang Family of Little Kong Mountain. This is a Foundation Establishment family, located near the Luoyun mountain range, with no presence in the Jiang country cultivation realm. At this moment, in the forbidden grounds of the Zhang family, within a small courtyard. Emissary, according to information from the Heaven Knowledge Tower, the four great immortal sects are about to open the Tianyuan secret realm, allowing some core disciples to enter and gain insights from the heavenly steel. Aside from sect disciples, the four great immortal sects will also release some quotas for the family forces under their governance. An elder, about 50 years old, prostrated on the ground and spoke respectfully. "So they are going to open it up." In the loft of the small courtyard, a beautiful woman in her 30s, with a transcendent and dazzling appearance, sat gracefully on an exquisite chaise. Upon hearing this, her long and narrow phoenix eyes slightly narrowed. "Is there an approximate time?" She wore a purple misty gauze long dress, her figure alluring and magnificent, indescribably beautiful. Her voluptuous and jade-like long legs crossed, with one draped in a purple starry sand-flowing stiletto heel. With a face of nonchalance, she gazed at the cup of tea in her hand, her alabaster fingers gently stirring the floating crystalline tea leaves. She spoke softly. Sar the Nell Fire. In website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Even though her voice was calm and indifferent, as if rejecting people from 1,000 miles away, it still exuded a bone-deep allure, making one desire to witness celestial beauty. To reply to the emissary, the Heaven Knowledge Tower only has news of this aspect, but the four great immortal sects have yet to determine the timing information. The elder prostrated on the ground and spoke respectfully, not daring to raise his head, fearing to desecrate the lady in the loft. It seems the Heavenly Sword sect has already set a heaven and earth net, and now opening the secret realm is just waiting for people to take the bait. This woman was none other than Nangong Mili, who came to the Jiang country. For more than half a year, she had been observing the situation of the Tianyuan secret realm at the Luoyun mountain range. She had long understood that the Tianyuan secret realm had almost been swept clean by the 4 great immortal sects of Jiang country. Now hearing the news that the 4 great immortal sects were preparing to open the secret realm, she immediately realized this was setting a trap, waiting for people to enter. However, this is how the cultivation world works. As long as there are opportunities tempting enough, even though many know this is a heaven and earth net laid by the 4 great immortal sects, they will still charge in. Sect core disciples, family forces under governance. Nangong Mili took a gentle sip of tea, leaving a crimson mark on the cup with her luscious red lips, her lips curved with a subtle smile. Continue to pay attention to information in this regard. Has there been any recent movement in Azure Phoenix Immortal City? Nangong Mili continued to inquire. A year ago, the newly appointed City Lord of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, White Peak Immortal, was killed by a demonic path cultivator. Although this event has yet to spread completely, it is not a secret. She had been paying attention to this matter, hoping to guess which faction was responsible through the subsequent movements of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, judging whether this event would affect the Tianyuan secret realm. To reply to the emissary, there has been no major change in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, the elder spoke respectfully. Saying this, he took out a jade slip from the storage bag, holding it with both hands, and said, "Sir, recently there has been a piece of news regarding the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family that you asked me to pay attention to." Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Nangong Mili's phoenix eyes were long and narrow, outlined with a faint eyeshadow, cold and exquisite, her slender hands lightly lifted, making the jade slip held by the elder land in her hand. 3rd-rank talisman master, eldest son of the Lu family, Lu Pingon. Nangong Mili looked at the information on the jade slip, her brows frowned slightly, with some surprise and doubt. She was not surprised by Lu Changsheng's promotion to a 3rd-rank talisman master, but rather surprised at Lu Pingan's age and combat power. A while ago, she learned about Lu Wangshu and the Red Leaf Valley market through the elder. So now seeing Lu Pingan's situation, she deeply realized something was off with Lu Changsheng. The children he bore were all too extraordinary. Lu Pingan, Lu Wangshu, Lu Qingshan, and her own daughter, Nangong Yaoyao. Moreover, besides their exceptional talent, she also sensed a combat power issue. As a nascent soul immortal, she understood clearly, for a cultivator to harness their talent, potential, and combat power far beyond their peers, the importance of wealth, companions, dharma, and land is paramount. In fact, one could say, the importance of wealth, companions, dharma, and land surpasses that of spiritual root talent. Many loose cultivators, family forces, even if they had children with extraordinary talent, lacked the resources to nurture them into success, so they could only send them to the immortal sects. Like the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Besides land, they are far from wealth, companions, and dharma. After all, as the Heaven Spider emissary of the 5 Poisons cult, governing many marketplaces and family forces, Nangong Mili is well aware that these family forces' annual earnings are unlikely to have much surplus wealth. Companions, besides Tao companions and like-minded friends, also include teachers, etc. But what talent could a small foundation establishment family have? Surrounded by a group of bumpkins, what could be achieved from influence? As for the last dharma, it is also the most important point. Even with a heavenly spiritual root, without a good compatible cultivation technique, the cultivation speed and combat power might not even match that of a top-grade spiritual root. And a foundation establishment family is impossible to have any top-level technique inheritance. Even a nascent soul noble family would have at most one or two advanced level cultivation technique inheritances, which might not even suit their descendants. So, whether it is Lu Pingan or Lu Wangshu, neither seems to be nurtured by a small foundation establishment family. And judging by the combat power of the two, it is evident the cultivation technique inheritance is uncommon, and there is instruction, not mere individual cultivation. Based on these points, Nangong Mili realized there is a big problem, with Blue Lake Mountain. Lu Chongqing. Nangong Mili's phoenix eyes gleamed with a cold light, knowing that these matters are all related to Lu Chongqing. Through the past half a year, the more she learned about Lu Chongqing, the more she felt he was not simple, as if shrouded in a layer of mystery. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1262. But because of this, she became increasingly determined to uncover the mystery that surrounded Lu Chongqing. When the time comes to go to Bai Lake Mountain, I must be extra cautious, Nangong Mili murmured inwardly, her vigilance toward Lu Chongqing rising another notch. After all, the man was not only audacious enough to nurture golden core charm for others, but could also produce rare treasures like the Misty Sky bead. Now, various signs were pointing to the fact that he was far from ordinary, forcing her to keep her guard up. Otherwise, if she miscalculated and fell into his trap, wouldn't that be, no matter what, he is merely a foundation establishment cultivator. Even if he possesses false core level strength, or techniques comparable to core formation, as long as I tread carefully, it won't matter. Nangong Mili stood up resolutely, her figure graceful and enchanting, dressed in a flowing purple mist silk dress. The hem swayed lightly, revealing a glimpse of her fair and slender legs, paired with sharp purple high heels. She exuded an air of elegant nobility and alluring charm. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Lu Chongqing gazed at Bai Ling, who was seated in meditation and cultivating. After obtaining a legacy cultivation technique, Bai Ling's cultivation speed had nearly doubled. This was truly remarkable. It was akin to elevating her original top-grade spiritual root speed to the level of an earth spirit root, or even comparable to a heavenly spiritual root. At this rate, Linger might be the fastest in the family to cultivate to the peak of foundation establishment, Lu Chongqing thought to himself with deep emotion. He knew that Bai Ling's remarkable improvement in cultivation speed was not only due to the compatibility of the technique but was also connected to her recent bloodline awakening. This bloodline awakening effectively raised Bai Ling's innate talent by a whole level. But the more extraordinary Linger's bloodline, the more extraordinary the child she carries will be. I just don't know whether this child will be human, or half-demon. Lu Chongqing glanced at the flat belly beneath Bai Ling's white dress and pondered silently. Brother, after briefly assessing her cultivation progress, Bai Ling opened her eyes with a delighted expression, calling out cheerfully to Lu Chongqing. Very good. But Linger, you're pregnant now, so there's no need to cultivate so diligently every single day. Lu Chongqing said softly to Bai Ling. During the early stages of pregnancy, women could still cultivate. However, after several months, cultivation could pose some risks. Okay, Bai Ling beamed with joy and nodded earnestly. Although it was her first pregnancy, she was already well aware of the taboos surrounding it. The two walked out of Chongqing Hall together, arriving at the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, near the Peachwood Spirit Womb. Hong Lian, Lu Chongqing asked Hong Lian whether she had ever heard of a true spirit named Bai Shi. Bai Shi? Hong Lian pondered for a moment before replying that she hadn't heard of such a true spirit. It wasn't that the true spirit didn't exist. Rather, information about true spirits was incredibly scarce. Aside from certain Jinling families, or forces that had served true spirits, others had little access to such information. Most people could only glean a fragmented understanding from the brief snippets found in ancient texts. All right. Lu Chongqing didn't mind the reply. The less information there was, the more mysterious the true spirit seemed, an indicator of how extraordinary it might be. Linger, just focus on nurturing the child. Don't mind these matters. If you feel unwell at any point, let me know immediately. Lu Chongqing reassured Bai Ling gently, noticing her slight worry. Soon, the two made their way to the Lu family mansion. Bai Ling joyfully shared the news of her pregnancy with Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoyun, and Chu Jinjin. Linger, congratulations. Linger, congratulations to you. The other women immediately congratulated Bai Ling upon hearing the news. After years of living together, they had grown fond of the shy and timid young woman. They knew she had always longed to bear descendants for her husband. Yet, all these years, she had been unable to conceive. Now, upon learning that Bai Ling was finally pregnant, they were sincerely happy for her. Just as Lu Chongqing was chatting with his wives and concubines, Lu Xingyang arrived to report some news. The Sima family had sent people. So the Sima family finally sent someone, huh? Ling Zixiao, dressed in a lake blue gown, her demeanor poised and elegant, commented. The feud between the two families had become a widely discussed topic. Though the Lu family hadn't taken the initiative to contact the Sima family, the latter could hardly ignore the matter regarding Sima Tong. Father, the people from the Sima family have arrived along with representatives from the Qingyun sect. Lu Xingyang continued. Qingyun sect. Lu Miaoyun and Chu Jinjin were visibly surprised upon hearing this. Although the Sima family had influence within the Qingyun sect, this conflict was, without doubt, caused by the Sima family. Why should the Qingyun sect get involved? It might be due to Pingan's false core combat prowess and husband status as a third-rank talisman master. Ling Zixiao explained calmly. Ordinary families usually wouldn't attract Qingyun sect's attention. SEA the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But once a family reached a certain level of strength, such as having multiple top-tier foundation establishment cultivators, or false core-level warriors, the Qingyun sect would begin to take notice. There was even a belief that when a family's power reached those heights, it was almost obligatory to seek a faction within the Qingyun sect as a patron or ally. Furthermore, if a family produced a third-rank talisman master, even the Qingyun sect would consider extending an olive branch, inviting them to become a guest elder. With both the Qingyun sect and Sima family representatives arriving together, it's likely they're here as mediators. Ling Zixiao smiled gracefully as she continued. Since they've come, let's meet them. Lu Chongqing said with a smile, joining Ling Zixiao to greet the guests. Moments later, the two entered the reception hall. Inside, a man and a woman were seated. The man appeared to be about 30 years old, with a heroic and commanding presence. He possessed 9th-layer foundation establishment cultivation. The woman was around 27 or 28 years old, her features serene and refined, with 6th-layer foundation establishment cultivation. Greetings to Mountain Lord Lu and Lady Lu. I am Song Qing, a disciple of Qingyun sect's Red Sun Peak. The man stood up promptly upon seeing Lu Chongqing and Ling Zixiao, offering a respectful fist and palm salute. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1263, Sima Qiuhua. The woman spoke up, but her face was expressionless, even somewhat indifferent. Greetings, Daoist Song. I wonder what brings Daoist Song and Daoist Sima to my Bai Lake Mountain? Lu Chongqing and Ling Zixiao sat aside, smiling as he asked. It's like this. My master heard of Lord Lu's advancement to a third-rank talisman master, so he sent me to convey congratulations and to inquire if Lord Lu would like to serve as a visiting noble servant at our Red Sun Peak. Song Qing took out an exquisite gift box from his storage bag and handed it to Lu Chongqing, speaking courteously. Daoist Song, you're too kind. Red Sun Peak. Your master is. Lu Chongqing did not immediately accept the gift. He narrowed his eyes and asked, "My master is real person Qiyang?" Song Qing spoke, a trace of arrogance showing on his face. Being a disciple of a nascent soul immortal was indeed something to be proud of. "Ah, a disciple of real person Qiyang, I'm honored. Lu Chongqing offered a slight bow of his hands. He was aware of the names of Qingyun sect's nascent soul immortals, but apart from knowing that Kaiyun true immortal had 2 disciples, he wasn't sure about the others. "My lord, if I'm not mistaken, Sima Qiuhua is also a disciple of Red Sun Peak. This person probably didn't come on behalf of Qingyun sect, but Red Sun Peak, acting as a mediator." At this time, the elegant Ling Zixiao, gently sipping her tea, transmitted her divine sense to Lu Chongqing. Lu Chongqing has only recently advanced to 3rd rank in the talisman path and is not yet proficient, so I'm afraid the position of visiting noble servant might not appeal to the real person's discerning eye. Lu Chongqing voiced his gentle refusal. He could also see that they were not simply recruiting him and likely were trying to act as a mediator, as Ling Zixiao mentioned. If he were to accept this offer, the matters to follow would probably be difficult to refuse. Moreover, he had heard Xiao Xia mention that Kaiyun true immortal seemed to have some enmity with real person Qiang's Dao companion. When they encountered an ambush back then, it was possibly orchestrated by them. Lord Lu's talent in the talisman path, Song had long heard of it. "Moreover, my master personally inquired about this matter, and promises that as long as Lord Lu is willing to come to our Red Sun Peak as a visiting noble servant, not only will you gain access to our sect's 3rd rank talisman path inheritance. In the future, if Lord Lu wishes to break through to false core, our Red Sun lineage can provide a suitable 3rd rank demon core." Song Qing, detecting Lu Changsheng's words of gentle refusal, continued to speak with sincerity. As for core formation resources like coagulation crystal elixir, he didn't even bring them up. After all, the coagulation crystal elixir, even within Qingyun sect, had to be competed for by true disciples. How could it be given to outsiders? "Let me consider this matter first." Lu Chongqing continued to voice his gentle refusal. Even if he truly wanted to serve as a visiting noble servant in Qingyun sect, he would undoubtedly choose Kaiyun Peak, not Red Sun Peak. "Alright, then Lord Lu should take your time to consider it." Seeing Lu Chongqing reject him like this, Song Cheng's face became less gracious and more cold. After all, in his eyes, no matter how impressive Bai Lake Mountain was, it was merely a dog under Qingyun sect's rule. His master, under the words of his mistress, personally inquired about this matter and was even willing to offer an olive branch and promise benefits. Yet, Lu Chongqing outright refused. Simply ungrateful. In addition to the visiting noble servant matter, this trip of Song's is also for my junior sister's family affairs, intending to resolve the enmity between Lord Lu and the Xuanwu Ridge Sima family. Song Qing spoke, continuing the conversation. "Resolve enmity." Lu Chongqing and Ling Zixiao, upon hearing these words, exchanged glances, noting to themselves that they had expected this. "I didn't expect this Daoist Sima to hail from Xuanwu Ridge." Lu Chongqing looked at Sima Qiuhua and said with a smile. Then looking at Song Qing, he continued, "The enmity between the 2 families originated from the Sima family. Since Daoist Song has spoken, my Bai Lake Mountain also doesn't wish to take things too far. As long as the Sima family is willing to compensate my Bai Lake Mountain accordingly, the matter would naturally come to an end." Sitting next to them, Sima Qiuhua, upon hearing Lu Changsheng's words, immediately clenched her hands within her sleeves. Her family not only had their patriarch captured but also lost 4 nascent soul seeds and a foundation establishment elder. Especially this said elder, who was her direct uncle. But now, in Lu Changsheng's casual tone, it seemed as if he was lenient and unwilling to push things too far. "I would like to know what compensation Lord Lu desires." Sima Qiuhua suppressed her inward fury and spoke up. Though she had asked her master to intervene in such matters, her master wasn't going to come personally. Thus, this recruitment trip took place. On one hand, Lu Changxing indeed was a talent, and by Lake Mountain's current strength was worth recruiting by Qingyun sect. On the other hand, bringing him to Red Sun Peak could better resolve the enmity between the two families. Of course, the compensation to resolve this enmity still needed to come from her Sima family. Regarding compensation, Lu Changxing glanced at Ling Zixiao and deliberated slightly. 500,000 spirit stones, 1 spirit land, 30 store spaces in the marketplace at my by Lake Mountain's choice, and the opening of all trading posts with a sworn promise not to retaliate against my by Lake Mountain for 100 years. He had discussed this with Ling Zixiao earlier and had gathered some information from Patriarch Sima with the 6 Desires Heart Demon technique. Therefore, while the compensation seemed ample, it was within the Sima family's capacity to bear. However, for the Sima family, this would be like a bloodletting, severely damaging their vitality afterward. This is impossible. Sima Qiuhua immediately spoke, her voice somewhat sharp. Even though she had been at Qingyun sect for a long time, she knew that her family could never agree to such compensation. This compensation was enough to nurture a false core immortal or even support someone in attempting core formation. Moreover, she asked her master to intervene in hopes of minimizing the compensation. Not to mention, her family would also have to reward her master afterwards. Is Lord Lu joking around here? The matter of my junior sister was personally inquired about by my master, who does not wish for it to escalate. Song Cheng's face darkened slightly, and he spoke up. Although his master didn't give him many details, merely sending him on this trip, his mistress had instructed him to handle this matter well. Is Daoist Song representing Qingyun sect or representing Red Sun Peak? Lu Changxing detected a hint of threat in the words, his handsome face carrying a trace of coldness as he spoke calmly and indifferently. Lu Changxing has never been fond of being threatened. At this moment, a mere foundation establishment cultivator was putting on airs in front of him. If not for being at home and seeing him as a disciple of Qingyun sect, he would have smacked him to death long ago. Song is representing Red Sun Peak, but also represents Qingyun sect. Song Qing fixed his gaze on Lu Changxing, with a hint of coldness in his eyes, lacking the previous politeness. If you're representing Qingyun sect, then show me a decree. If there's no decree, please leave. Knowing the purpose of their visit, Lu Changxing couldn't be bothered with niceties anymore. After all, the situation won't make any further progress by continuing the conversation. It's better to wait for someone from the Sima family who truly holds authority to arrive. As for Qingyun sect, Red Sun Peak. S.E.A. the Novelier. N.E.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. He could simply call for reinforcement. Having core formation cultivation now, he wouldn't need to ask this Kaiyun true immortal for anything major. It's better to request a minor favor from her. And it happens to be through this matter, showcasing an external connection with Qingyun sect, thereby adding a layer of intimidation. So, your family has backing in Qingyun sect, huh? Well, Lu here focuses on forging good relationships long before establishing a family, already having connections within Qingyun sect. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1264, Lu Changxing, don't be so shameless. Upon hearing Lu Changxing's words, Song Cheng's expression instantly changed, becoming as dark as water. If it weren't for the fact that Lu Changxing's reputation preceded him, and that this was by Lake Mountain, he would have acted out on the spot. The two of them had come bearing the verbal decree of real person Qi Yang. For Lu Changxing to treat them with such disdain, it was as if he completely disregarded Red Sun Peak and his master, real person Qi Yang. A newly risen false core family, even with Lu Changxing, a third-ranked talisman master, was still nothing more than a dog in the eyes of Qingyun sect. Leave. Lu Changxing said plainly, holding a teacup in hand, his expression calm and indifferent, displaying not the slightest courtesy. These words caused Songqing to smash the table with one palm, rising abruptly, intent on taking action, but Sima Qiuhua quickly pulled back her senior brother. While she did indeed relish the thought of her senior brother and Lu Chongqing clashing in a fierce fight, today's primary goal was still to rescue her family's patriarch. If things escalated too far, it would be difficult to resolve. Moreover, their master was not known to be the kind of overbearing person. If word got out that they had initiated hostility and acted aggressively, they would lose the moral high ground. Fine, don't say I didn't warn you. Search * the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Song Cheng's face was dark, his tone sharp and biting, as he said, "Since Master Lu refuses to show respect to Red Sun Peak, I will report this matter truthfully to my master." As a disciple of a nascent soul immortal, he held an important position in Qingyun's sect, normally, which patriarch of a family did not greet him with utmost reverence upon seeing him. Now, Lu Chongqing, a mere foundation establishment cultivator, dared to treat him this way. It truly infuriated him to the point of steaming. After saying this, he left the hall swiftly with Sima Qiuhua. At least they have some sense. Lu Chongqing watched the pair leave, lightly sipping his tea. For someone like Lu Chongqing who had cultivated for so long, such attitudes hardly provoked much anger. Responding in this way was partly because there was truly nothing worth talking about, and he couldn't be bothered to feign politeness. On the other hand, he also didn't mind the matter escalating if it meant drawing stronger allies into the fray. If the Sima family invited intervention from Red Sun Peak's figures, even a nascent soul immortal, and his own side was still able to handle them, wouldn't that demonstrate the strength of his backing? "Would my lord like me to send word to Xiao Xie?" Ling Zixiao asked, somewhat surprised by Lu Changsheng's actions. Still, she didn't dwell on it too much. She knew Lu Chongqing surely had his own reasoning behind everything he did. I'll pay Qingyun sect a visit myself. It's time to establish solid backing within Qingyun sect. Lu Chongqing said with a smile. Backing? Ling Zixiao was slightly surprised upon hearing this. She knew her lord already had connections in Qingyun sect, Xiao Xie and Zhao Qingqing, but did he have others? For someone to be considered true backing, strong enough to oppose real person Qiyang, it could only be another nascent soul immortal. Could it be? Ling Zixiao's thoughts turned to her lord's history of romantic entanglements, and she revealed an expression of subtle contemplation in her beautiful eyes. Lu Chongqing didn't offer further explanations. He activated the fate-defying robe, his figure immediately merging with the void and vanishing completely. "Senior brother, I heard Lu Chongqing is close friends with Xiao Xie of Kaiyun Peak. For him to act so arrogantly, it must be because he's relying on his relations with Xiao Xie." As Sima Qiuhua and Songqing left by Lake Mountain, she remarked. Sima Qiuhua had long investigated Lu Changsheng's connections within Qingyun sect, gaining insights into his ties. She knew that he had a Dao companion, a brother-in-law, and this layer of relations with Xiao Xie. However, Zhao Qingqing and Xia Zhaoyang were insignificant in their eyes. Only Xiao Xie warranted their attention. After all, Xiao Xie wasn't just a true disciple of Qingyun sect, she had the talent for core formation and was backed by masters and senior sisters who were all nascent soul immortals. Such standing and influence were far beyond what either of them could compare to. Now that Qingyi Fairy is overseeing matters in the Tianyuan secret realm and Kaiyun True Immortal has been secluded for some time, even if he asks junior sister Xie to mediate, what good will it do? Does junior sister Xie care enough about this relationship to offend our entire Red Sun Peak by asking Kaiyun True Immortal to break her seclusion? Songqing said coldly. Pausing briefly, he narrowed his eyes and continued, that Lu Chongqing must think he can ingratiate himself with Kaiyun Peak, but he's sorely mistaken. Although he didn't know much about Lu Changxing personally, he was certain anyone capable of rising to this level within decades couldn't be foolish enough to provoke Red Sun Peak without reason. Such an attitude today must serve some hidden agenda. And the prior grudge between his master and Kaiyun True Immortal, causing discord between the two factions, was no secret. Thus, his first guess was that Lu Changsheng's refusal was an attempt to curry favor with Xiao Xie and Kaiyun Peak. That Lu Changxing is nothing but a philandering opportunist. He's probably harboring feelings for Xiao Xie and trying to get into her good graces. Sima Qiuhua scoffed disdainfully, her tone frosty. Though she couldn't deny Lu Changsheng's strikingly handsome features, which were rare to behold in her lifetime, during the brief interaction just now, she noted his complete disinterest in her, coupled with an attitude she found revolting. I've heard junior sister Xie's cultivation technique requires her to forget love and sever ties to emotions. His efforts are destined to be wasted. Moreover, what kind of person is junior sister Xie? She is the Nine Heavens divine phoenix, destined to achieve core formation in the future. Lu Changxing may have some fortunate encounters, but he's still just a frog in a well. Where would he find the qualifications? Song Qing sneered contemptuously. Years ago, he too had tried to pursue Xiao Xie, but his master had revealed certain secrets, leading him to realize such attempts were futile. Don't worry, junior sister, I will report this matter truthfully to master and mistress. Song Qing said, glancing at Sima Qiuhua. I'll leave it to you, senior brother. After this matter is resolved, I will certainly reward you handsomely. Sima Qiuhua replied with a charming smile, her voice soft and gentle. Although Song Qing showed little prospect of forming a true elixir with his identity as a disciple of real person Qiyang, achieving a false core in the future was certainly within reach. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1265. And she fell short in many aspects. To break through to false core, she must rely on family support. Junior sister, you are too courteous. Song Qing returned to his usual refined and gentle demeanor, speaking with a smile. His assistance to Sima Qiuhua during this trip was partly out of respect for his master's wife and also for the sake of the Sima family's reputation. If this matter was handled well, it would be akin to the Sima family owing him a great favor. Tisk, in the void, Lu Changxing watched the departing duo. He thought to himself that the two were not fools, they understood that his daring attitude earlier must be backed by some form of confidence. Unfortunately, my confidence is not Xiao Xie. Lu Changxing chuckled lightly. If his backing were solely Xiao Xie, he wouldn't have acted this way. Perhaps he would have feigned politeness with the other party. In the Qingyun region, or strictly speaking within the Jiang country cultivation realm's framework, unless one possesses absolute strength, adhering strictly to the rules can indeed feel suffocating. Lu Changxing felt a spark of melancholy in his heart. Without the connection to Kaiyun True Immortal, if he didn't reveal his strength, he would indeed suffer losses in situations like this. Even though he could rely on disguise and camouflage to solve many external dangers. When it came to the suppressive rules of immortal sects like Qingyun sect and Heavenly Sword sect, he had no choice but to act within the boundaries of those rules. It's crucial to form more alliances, isn't it? If I could establish ties with nascent soul immortals from Wuxia sect, Spirit Taming sect, and Heavenly Sword sect, I wouldn't need to worry about such matters. Lu Changxing took a deep breath and exhaled long and slow, feeling that his journey was still a long way ahead. He resolved to find an opportunity to strengthen his bond with Kaiyun True Immortal. This way, his family would finally enjoy peace within the Qingyun region. Lu Changxing stopped dwelling on the matter as his fate-defying robe radiated an invisible glow, propelling him toward Qingyun sect. Stopping 100 miles outside Qingyun sect, Lu Changxing adjusted his attire briefly and retrieved a jade pendant. Although his connection with Kaiyun True Immortal was unique, It wasn't appropriate for him to directly enter Qing Yun's sect for a formal visit. He couldn't exactly say to Xiao Xie, "Shiyu, I have some business with your master," could he? Thus, he opted to use the jade pendant given to him years ago by Yun Wanshang. The Oval Fire. Ed website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. As Lu Chongqing imbued the jade pendant in his hand with mana, rays of resplendent light shimmered around it instantly. Qing Yun sect. At Kaiyun Peak, inside an opulent palace. Yun Wanshang sat cross-legged, her eyes closed elegantly, surrounded by delicate threads of radiant glow, exuding a profound and mystic aura. At this moment, as though sensing something, her eyes suddenly opened. She gently raised her hand, and a jade pendant shimmering with cloud-like radiance appeared in her palm. Yun Wanshang looked at the jade pendant with a hint of surprise. Although she had given the other jade pendant to Lu Chongqing earlier as a means for him to summon her in life and death crises, he had never activated it. This was the first time the jade pendant had been activated. Aside from the jade pendant, she had also given Lu Chongqing a token imbued with a seal of her divine skills. Now that Lu Chongqing had activated the pendant, it was clearly not a matter of life or death crisis. As she injected her mana into the jade pendant in her hand, the two pendants created an intangible flow of aura, indicating that Lu Chongqing was not far from her location and within range of contact. "What is the matter?" Without delay, Yun Wanshang spoke. Her voice was clear, melodious, and carried a trace of authority befitting someone of her stature. This pendant can transmit voice. On the other side, Lu Chongqing was startled to hear Yun Wanshang's voice coming from the jade pendant. He had studied the pendant before and understood it was an exotic treasure capable of concealing aura and enabling mutual sensing. However, he had not delved deep enough to discover its ability to transmit spoken messages. "Senior, I have a matter I would like to request your assistance with." Knowing Yun Wanshang's straightforward nature, Lu Chongqing decided not to beat around the bush and spoke directly. "Speak." The pendant transmitted Yun Wanshang's crystalline, jewel-like voice. "Damn, this woman's so cold," Lu Chongqing muttered inwardly. However, he was well aware of her temperament, cold on the outside, warm on the inside. At once, he spoke with a slightly aggrieved tone. "Senior, my family business has been building for years. Recently, we established a trade caravan to earn spirit stones through commerce. Who would have thought that the Xuanwu Ridge Sima family, barbaric and unreasonable, would try to oppress my family? They forbade us from conducting trade and even sent people to ambush us. Get to the point." Yun Wanshang's voice resounded. "My son captured and suppressed the Sima family patriarch, Sima Tong, but the Sima family invited real person Qiang to intervene and sent disciples to my family," Lu Chongqing explained immediately. "Captured Sima Tong and Qiang intervened." Yun Wanshang, upon hearing this, expressed a mix of surprise and confusion. She naturally knew that Sima Tong of Xuanwu Ridge was a false core immortal. If this false core immortal was subdued by Lu Chongqing, she could still understand. But now, Lu Chongqing claimed it was his son who subdued him. However, she didn't inquire further and said flatly, "How do you wish to handle this?" That depends on whatever is most convenient for you, senior. If possible, as long as the Sima family offers sufficient compensation, they'll be willing to let bygones be bygones." Lu Chongqing replied. "All right, I understand." As soon as those words fell, Lu Chongqing sensed the intangible aura from the pendant cut off. "She's that cold." Lu Chongqing felt speechless. He hadn't even mentioned the compensation specifics. Nonetheless, since Kaiyun True Immortal spoke so decisively, he presumed she would not shortchange him. Looking toward the direction of Qing Yun sect, Lu Chongqing thought about how it had been a while since had properly spent time with Xiao Xie and Zhao Qingqing. Now that he was already here, it was natural to pay them a visit, as well as check up on his children, brother-in-law, and Han Lin. Meanwhile, After Yun Wanshang put away the jade pendant, she spread her nascent soul divine sense and transmitted her voice to a woman in a courtyard outside her palace. Jinshou, go to Luowang Hall and fetch recent intelligence regarding events in the Bai Lake Mountain area. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1266, Yes, Peak Master. Upon hearing these words, the woman immediately responded. A moment later, the woman named Jinshou returned to Kaiyun Peak, presenting a jade slip. Boom! The palace doors swung open with a thunderous roar, and the jade slip landed in Yun Wanshang's palm. Refinement of Foundation Establishment Elixirs. Lu Wangshu, eldest son of the Lu family, Lu Pingan, merely 61 years old, quasi-third order body refinement. Yun Wanshang scanned these records with a trace of astonishment. Lu Chongqing had caused such a stir in recent years, it was no wonder he drew the attention of other family forces. However, upon noticing the specific details about Lu Pingan, her peerless beauty, as refined as jade, revealed a faint emotional movement. This information was startling. Even from her vantage point as a nascent soul immortal, the case of Lu Pingan was truly exceptional, worthy of being called a prodigious talent. As for Lu Chongqing achieving third-rank talisman master, she paid it little mind. During moments of physical intimacy with Lu Chongqing, she had long realized he harbored a tendency to conceal his strength. She simply refrained from probing further or exposing his secrets. Lu Qingshan, Lu Pingan, Lu Wangshu. Does Lu Changsheng's spiritual body have issues regarding fertility? Yun Wanshang stared at the jade slip in her hand, her eyes betraying a thoughtful expression. She harbored considerable disdain for Lu Changsheng's actions, regarding him as nothing more than a stud. Part of her feeling stemmed from a woman's perspective. The other aspect came from the principles of strong cultivators in this world, all focused solely on their cultivation, prioritizing detachment from worldly emotions. A man like Lu Chongqing, indulging in carnal desires so recklessly and with no restraint, how could he ever accomplish the great Tao in the future? Yet now, while examining this information, she suddenly realized Lu Chongqing might be walking an alternative path, a path tailor-made for him. Is there some type of spiritual body that aids in procreation, yet doesn't hinder cultivation? Yun Wanshang pondered silently. She had long suspected Lu Chongqing of having a mutant spiritual root or some rare spiritual body. After all, earlier detection revealed Lu Changsheng's spiritual root was of 8th grade. But later, when she accessed his records, she discovered he had been assessed as possessing 9th grade spiritual root during his early years at Qingyun sect. An improvement in one's spiritual root was exceedingly rare in the cultivation world. Such occurrences were not impossible, though. Some mutant spiritual roots were so obscure that early detection yielded no results, or they showed low quality, only to awaken and manifest their true powers during the slow progression of cultivation. Likewise, certain spiritual bodies might exhibit similar effects, even concealing or altering the readings of spiritual roots. Jinshou, go handle the grievances between Bai Lake Mountain and the Sima family of Profound Martial Ridge. Ask Bai Lake Mountain what compensation they'd require, then bring Sima Tong to the enforcement hall and notify the Sima family to come fetch their people. After deliberating for a moment, Yun Wanshang gave the order to the woman outside and tossed her a token. Yes, Peak Master. Jinshou responded with respectful compliance. After Jinshou departed, Yun Wanshang paused briefly before taking out a jade pendant. Once the qi mechanisms intertwined, she spoke, I've sent someone to handle the matter. Make your way to Qingyun sect. When you see Xia, explain it like this, for reasons unknown. Upon saying these words, Yun Wanshang inexplicably felt like she and Lu Chongqing were sneaking around behind Xiao Xia's back. Though she had acted first, an inexplicable sense of guilt toward her disciple Xiao Xia crept over her. Huff, Yun Wanshang exhaled softly, her breath carrying hints of fragrance as she gazed at the jade slip in her hands, her thoughts drifting slightly. Unbidden, memories of the soul path dreams arose, those visions where she bore a son with Lu Chongqing. The connection between those eerie soul path dreams and reality seemed faintly intertwined. If Lu Chongqing truly harbored some extraordinary spiritual body, capable of producing unparalleled offspring even with average women, should she bear a child with him, might it truly align with those glimpses from the soul path dreams? Yun Wanshang's expression chilled as she dispelled these unwelcome thoughts, resuming her seated meditation to nourish her golden core. Meanwhile, within a lavish palace on Red Sun Peak. Lu Chongqing directly told you to leave. A dignified, elegant woman in her 30s, dressed in a green Daoist robe with her jet black hair styled into an ornate bun, gazed at the two individuals before her and inquired. Master, we would never dare deceive you about such a matter. Sima Kua's expression was one of respect, though her eyes revealed helpless bitterness. Mistress, that Lu Chongqing from Bai Lake Mountain and Xiao Xia are close friends. His refusal to our Red Sun Peak is likely an attempt to ingratiate himself with Kaiyun Peak and align with them, Sar the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Song Qing explained with a bow. Kaiyun Peak. Upon hearing the name, Song Qingzi's features instantly darkened with displeasure. Who within Qingyun's sect did not know of her long-standing feud with Yun Wanshang? Yun Wanshang could be tolerated. But for a mere foundation establishment cultivator from a newly risen false core family to insult her so blatantly. A little foundation establishment cultivator does not have the privilege of choice or refusal in such matters. Song Qingji reprimanded coldly. Her stake in this issue wasn't solely for her disciple Sima Kua's sake. She had noticed Bai Lake Mountain's underlying complexities, be it Lu Chongqing or Lu Pingan, both appeared to possess extraordinary fortuity. Were she to pursue this fortuity outright, it would be improper and unsightly. However, if Bai Lake Mountain aligned with her Red Sun lineage, this fortune would inevitably fall into her grasp. To her dismay, not only had Bai Lake Mountain rejected her invitation, but they had also entangled themselves with Kaiyun Peak. I shall see where this Lu Chongqing finds such audacity. Song Qingji rose to her feet, preparing to personally visit Bai Lake Mountain. She would uncover the source of his boldness. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1267, Song Qingji, accompanied by Song Qing and Sima Qiuhua, stepped out of the palace and prepared to head to Bai Lake Mountain to demand justice. Lu Chongqing. As the three approached the mountain gate, Song Qing and Sima Qiuhua suddenly spotted a man in a green robe not far away. The man was strikingly handsome, exuding a demeanor as elegant and unworldly as a lofty pine tree swaying in the wind. Their expressions froze momentarily. They hadn't expected that shortly after their own return, Lu Chongqing would show up at Qingyun's sect as well. This affirmed their suspicion. Lu Chongqing must have come here to seek an audience with Xiao Xia. Shi Nyang, Song Qing immediately turned to address his master's wife, Song Qingji, respectfully. So he is Lu Chongqing. Song Qingzi's black hair was elegantly coiled into a jeweled bun, and she wore a loose-fitting green Daoist robe that did little to conceal her voluptuous and perfectly proportioned figure. Upon hearing Song Cheng's words, her gaze, resembling the tranquil clarity of autumn lake water, swept toward the man. Dressed in a green robe, with an incomparably handsome face and a poise bearing akin to a noble orchid or a jade tree swaying gracefully, Lu Chongqing stood there serene and at ease. A faint ripple stirred in her eyes. She had heard of Lu Chongqing's reputation before and knew of his existence, but she had never seen him in person. Now, looking at him in the flesh, he appeared so ethereal, like a banished immortal who had stepped out from the pages of a painting. Her heart couldn't help but stir with a sense of amazement and a faint tremor of excitement. It wasn't as if she had never seen a good-looking person before. In the cultivation world, individuals with remarkable beauty were a dime a dozen. But Lu Changxing was not only strikingly handsome, he carried an inexplicably magnetic aura. Just looking at him was enough to make her feel a faint intoxication, as if bathed in the gentle breeze of spring, stirring within her an instinctive goodwill and sense of closeness. So much so that the anger she had felt moments ago at the prospect of questioning him over grievances all but dissipated while taking in his elegant aura, comparable to pine trees and verdant cypresses. Looking at him now, Song Qingji instinctively chose to believe that such a person could not have bad intentions. She began suspecting that her apprentice and Song Qing might have exaggerated their tale and twisted the facts to inflame her temper. After all, she was well aware of the personalities of the two. Though they wouldn't dare outright lie to her, their arrogance toward a minor family under their jurisdiction probably played no small part in making a mountain out of a molehill. Even Sima Qiuhua, gazing at Lu Changxing, found herself momentarily dazed. She had recently met Lu Changxing at Bai Lake Mountain. She had to admit, he was undeniably a rare specimen of male beauty. The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But no matter how extraordinary he had seemed back then, he now looked even more transcendent, dazzling beyond compare, leaving an impression so captivating that all dislike or aversion she once harbored for him melted away as though they had never existed. What's going on? Is this some kind of bewitching technique? A sudden pang of unease struck Sima Qiuhua's heart, leading her to consider the possibility that she might have been enspelled by Lu Changsheng's art of seduction. Yet upon deeper reflection, she realized there was no such spell at play. Instead, it became clear that Lu Changxing now possessed an aura so refined and refreshing it irresistibly drew people closer. Though Song Qing could sense Lu Changsheng's newfound refinement and charisma, he didn't feel particularly affected. In his mind, this was merely evidence that Lu Changxing had deliberately groomed himself to come here seeking Wuxia. What good is a handsome face? Junior sister Xia isn't someone so shallow. Song Qing sneered internally. So, you are the infamous Lu Changxing of Bai Lake Mountain. Song Qingji stepped forward and asked Lu Changxing directly. Her flawless and graceful features bore an air of regal elegance, her arched brows reminiscent of willow branches, exuding faint traces of stately authority. Sima Qiuhua and Song Qing exchanged surprised and puzzled glances upon witnessing this scenario. What was happening? Though others might not know, the two of them were well acquainted with their master and master's wife's temperament. Ever since Song Qingzi's core formation failure, resulting in her being left with a false core, her previously steady personality had grown erratic and volatile. Just moments ago, she had been seething with rage, ready to storm Bai Lake Mountain to demand retribution. Now, with one glimpse of Lu Changxing, her demeanor had inexplicably shifted into something as placid as a spring breeze. Could this be the calm before an even greater storm? Is Shenyang perhaps at the height of her fury right now? Song Qing speculated secretly. In contrast, Sima Qiuhua glanced at Song Qingji with a peculiar expression. Internally, she mused that her Shizun, master, might be preparing to let this matter slide simply because of Lu Changsheng's extraordinary appearance and demeanor. She knew her master was an ultimate face-con, who had an unshakable obsession with physical beauty. Even the disciples and servants Song Qingji recruited were subject to stringent standards of appearance. Yes, I am indeed Lu Changxing, Lu Changxing responded with a slight bow of courtesy toward the approaching Song Qingji. Though he didn't recognize her personally, glimpsing Song Qing and Sima Qiuhua nearby allowed him to deduce that she must hail from Red Sun Peak. Judging by the circumstances, it was likely that they had come with the intention of causing trouble for him. However, something about her current attitude struck him as a little odd. Typically, Lu Changxing rigorously restrained the effects of the immortal beauty technique, peach blossom goo, and flawless heavenly fragrance body. On this particular visit, had deliberately chosen to let their effect seep through, thinking he'd need every edge to soften Yun Wanshang's aloof and guarded nature, an endeavor he already anticipated to be exceedingly difficult. To be honest, though, he hadn't utilized these abilities for years. Especially after breaking into core formation, with the peach blossom goo having ascended to the 3rd rank and the flawless heavenly fragrance body unlocking deeper effects, he himself wasn't entirely certain of the potency of his allure anymore. Judging by the reaction of the false core immortal in front of him, however, it seemed that the charm factor was rather effective. Buzz, at that moment, a faint transmission from the peach blossom goo at the center of his brow surfaced. It hinted that if he handled this moment carefully, there was a fair chance for him to forge a peach blossom fate with the woman before him. Damn it, how desperate are you? Lu Chongqing cursed inwardly at the peach blossom goo. The parasite had only recently ascended to the 3rd rank, thanks to the lucky draw of peach blossom fortune it had absorbed from Binger. But now, advancing to the 4th rank required an astronomical amount of love fortune, something nearly impossible to estimate. The issue at hand was, this woman bore all the hallmarks of maturity in her elegant, imposing demeanor, an unmistakable noble charm exuding a maternal grace. How could he, Lu Chongqing, involve himself in such an indecent entanglement? Not to mention that juggling both Xiao Xie and Yun Wanshang's entangled relationships was already enough of a head-splitting problem for him. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1268. If I were to cause such trouble in the Qingyun sect again, I'm afraid there would be an incident. I had my disciple go to Bai Lake Mountain to invite Lu Mountain Lord to serve as a guest elder for our Red Sun lineage. I wonder why Lu Mountain Lord refused. Song Qingji continued to speak, her voice exuding an elegant and noble aura. My disciple. When Lu Chongqing heard these words, he paused in his heart. He immediately guessed the identity of the woman in front of him. The Dao companion of real person Qiyang, Yuxi real person Song Qingji. However, the other party was a false core immortal, and this gentle inquiry about why he refused the invitation made Lu Chongqing somewhat surprised and suspicious. He pondered whether this peak master's wife's temper was quite good. Or perhaps, as long as one looks handsome, the world is much more forgiving. I am not yet well acquainted with the situation at Qingyun sect, so I came this time to inquire with a friend and learn about the various peaks and lineages of the supreme sect. Furthermore, your disciple is involved in the grievances between the Sima family of Profound Marshall Ridge and my Bai Lake Mountain. They wish to resolve these grievances but are unwilling to provide adequate compensation, so I am afraid I cannot accept. Lu Chongqing stood tall and straight, his eyes deep and bright, speaking in a composed manner. He usually responds well to soft words rather than harsh ones. If others speak well to him, he naturally speaks well in return. Listening to Lu Changsheng's words, Song Qingji thought the issue indeed lay with the grudges between Bai Lake Mountain and the Sima family. It must have been her disciple and Song Cheng's aggressive approach that led to this mess. Otherwise, this Lu Chongqing here is no fool. How dare a Foundation establishment family with just false core combat power offend our Red Sun Peak? Even if he has the connection with Xiao Xie, he couldn't possibly do such an irrational thing. Song Qingji cast a cold glance at Sima Qiuhua and Song Qing, making them shudder. Then, looking at Lu Chongqing with a warm and gentle smile, she said, "If Lu Mountain Lord wants to understand the situation at Qingyun sect, I could certainly introduce you to it. As for the enmity between the Sima family and nearby Lake Mountain, it is said that grudges are better resolved than left unresolved. If Lu Mountain Lord has any requests, do let me know. I am willing to act as a mediator and help you resolve them. Otherwise, both of your families are significant families under our Qingyun sect's jurisdiction. Continuing this conflict benefits no one, and our Qingyun sect does not wish to see such a thing either." So said Song Qingji. These words were not untrue. For Foundation establishment clans and false core families, the Qingyun sect would pay attention. If such families were to clash majorly and cause an incident, the Qingyun sect would step in to mediate. As for how to mediate, generally, both families would face heavy penalties. And since the Sima family is an old false core family, having operated in Qingyun sect for many years, they have connections not only with her Red Sun Peak but also with some other lineages and disciples. So, in the end, the one at a disadvantage would still be by Lake Mountain. At this moment, not far away, Song Qing and Sima Qiuhua were stunned, utterly confused. What the heck? How did their mistress and master become like this? Especially Song Qing. He felt that mistress' tone was never this good even towards master. Could it be mistress is deliberately doing this, luring Lu Chongqing, and once he agrees, our Red Sun Peak would have the upper hand? And could even disgrace Kaiyun Peak? Song Qing speculated in his heart. Beside him, Sima Kua's expression became increasingly peculiar. Thinking, could it be that his master really fancies this pretty boy Lu Chongqing? Although Lu Chongqing indeed looks exceptionally handsome, this is too outrageous, isn't it? Thank you for the real person's kindness, but Lu Chongqing pondered, thinking this peak master's wife is really too enthusiastic. He wanted to respond, intending to decline politely. Just at this moment, a woman in colorful palace attire, with an exceedingly beautiful face, her elegant hair pinned up with a phoenix hairpin, exuding a noble and graceful aura, appeared. Why are you wasting time here? Yun Wanshang saw Lu Chongqing and Song Qingji chatting enthusiastically and spoke icily with majesty. With just a blink of an eye, how could you chat with someone like this? Didn't you say that Red Sun Peak was too overbearing? How come you're now chatting with the wife of the Peak Master? Sar the novel, F. Higher. Any website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Seeing Lu Chongqing behaving like a male enchanting demon, Yun Wanshang felt displeased in her heart. After speaking, she slightly raised her hand, a wave of mana carrying Lu Chongqing toward Kaiyun Peak. Leaving only a flat, authoritative sentence hanging in the air, Kaiyun Peak wants this person. Yun Wanshang. Song Qingji watched Yun Wanshang take Lu Chongqing away, her dignified and beautiful face instantly turning gloomy. It wasn't that Yun Wanshang taking Lu Chongqing caused her anger and shame. As a dignified false core immortal, she wouldn't fall in love at first sight with Lu Chongqing. But it reminded her of the past when she could have exchanged for a coagulation crystal elixir and prepared to advance to core formation. But Yun Wanshang rose forcefully, exchanged for the coagulation crystal elixir, causing her to wait until the next round. In the end, Yun Wanshang succeeded in core formation, while she failed, and had to settle for condensing a false core instead. Now, her disciples were not as good as Yun Wanshang's, and even when she tried to recruit a small family force and a talisman master, Yun Wanshang came out to compete with her, filling her heart with burning anger. How could Kaiyun True Immortal appear? Song Cheng and Sima Qiuhua beside them were both stunned, shivering. What is happening today? Did they see a ghost? First, their mistress and master treated this Lu Chongqing differently. Now, Kaiyun True Immortal even personally came to take Lu Chongqing away. Wasn't this Kaiyun True Immortal supposed to be in closed-door cultivation? They were very bewildered, even a bit panicked inside. Why are you here embarrassing yourself? Go back. Song Qingji, seeing Song Qing and her disciple, said with an incredibly cold face. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1269. The two trembled violently and dared not say more, obediently following Song Qingji back to Red Sun Peak. Kaiyun Peak. Greetings, Master. Xiao Xia looked at her master and Lu Chongqing standing before her, bewildered. What's going on? How is Master together with Chongqing? From now on, he will be Kaiyun Peak's visiting noble servant. Xia, take him to the record hall for registration. Yun Wanshang did not explain much to her disciple, tossing out a handwritten decree and speaking curtly. After finishing her statement, she left Lu Chongqing behind and returned to her own palace. Chongqing, how did you end up with Master? Xiao Xia's beautiful eyes carried confusion as she looked at Lu Chongqing, trying to understand how he managed to be brought into Qin Yun's sect by her master. Although her master knew of Lu Chongqing, the two had supposedly never interacted before. Besides, hadn't master been in closed-door cultivation all these years? Xia, this is a long story. Lu Chongqing had anticipated this scenario long ago, and he immediately adopted a dreamlike, reflective demeanor as he recounted his acquaintance with Yun Wanshang. He described how, 56 years ago, while traveling between Nine Dragons Market and Qingzhou Mountain, he had witnessed a fierce battle in the distance and quickly hid. After waiting for the battle to subside for a long time and preparing to leave the dangerous area, he encountered a heavily injured nascent soul immortal. At the time, he did not recognize Kaiyun True Immortal but still chose to treat and save her. Afterward, Kaiyun True Immortal gave him a token, stating that if he encountered danger, he could activate the token or come to Qin Yun's sect to seek her help. However, all these years, I haven't encountered any major trouble, so this token had remained unused. A few days ago, due to Pingan's issues with the Sima family invited disciples of the Qiang True Immortal, who came to Bai Lake Mountain carrying Qiang True Immortal's decree, and so I thought about the token. I figured that using the favor from back then might allow me to establish a solid connection within Qin Yun's sect. But I never expected that the person I saved would turn out to be your master, Kaiyun True Immortal. Lu Chongqing spoke earnestly, mixing truth with lies, full of emotion. 56 years ago, Xiao Xia suddenly recalled that back then, her master had indeed gone out to refine the red dust elixir for her and returned with a somewhat unstable aura, as if she had been injured. However, hearing that Lu Chongqing had saved her master, Xiao Xia felt a trace of oddness in her heart. Years ago, she herself had been saved by Lu Chongqing. Her senior sister had also escaped danger thanks to Lu Changsheng's intervention, saving her life. And now it seemed that her master had also been rescued by Lu Chongqing. Could it be that all three of them, the master and her two disciples, had been saved by Lu Chongqing? Moreover, Xiao Xia vaguely felt that her master's relationship with Lu Chongqing wasn't that simple. She recalled how, years ago, when she had asked her master to approve her union with Lu Chongqing, her master's attitude, and Lu Changsheng's affairs with Lady Meng at Qin Yun's sect, had seemed strange. Actually, I vaguely guessed years ago that the person I saved back then was Kaiyun True Immortal, but I wasn't sure. Lu Chongqing knew Xiao Xia to be sharp and perceptive. She might deduce something about his connection with Yun Wanshang. Reaching out, he gently held Xiao Xia's delicate hand and said proactively, I remember you once mentioned that True Immortal has some minor grievances with Red Sun Peak. And Kaiyun True Immortal's token, I really don't have much use for it now. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to confirm. If things go well, not only can we resolve the troubles with Red Sun Peak and secure a strong support for the family within Qin Yun sect, but I can also use this chance to gain an official affiliation with Kaiyun Peak. This will make visits to Qin Yun sect easier, allowing me to assist you with your cultivation technique issues. Moreover, with this favor from the past, if I perform well, it will be much easier for us to request True Immortal's approval of our union in the future. Lu Changsheng's voice was gentle and filled with deep affection. Although his words, upon closer inspection, had some inconsistencies, he wanted Xiao Xia to notice them now and prepare herself mentally for what was to come. CTH Novel Fire. Any website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chongqing, Xiao Xia was cultivating the supreme forgetful love technique, a method that would normally make her quick to discern discrepancies in such situations. Yet, whenever she was with Lu Chongqing, the technique seemed ineffective. Especially now, with Lu Chongqing activating his enchanting demon-like aura, even Xiao Xia found herself subconsciously influenced, not reflecting deeply, trusting Lu Chongqing wholeheartedly, and feeling touched. After chatting for a while, Xiao Xie then led Lu Chongqing to register his visiting noble servant status. If it were for an honorary elder, the Qingyun sect leader's approval was required. However, for a visiting noble servant, the approval of the respective peak's peak master would suffice. That shameless scoundrel. Full of lies. Within the palace at the peak, Yun Wanshang used her divine sense, her expression both anxious and indignant, as she listened to Lu Chongqing and Xiao Xie's conversation. Seeing Lu Chongqing deceitfully gazing affectionately at her disciple, her frustration burned deeply. Yet, upon hearing Lu Chongqing claim he could help Xiao Xie resolve her cultivation technique issue, she was somewhat surprised and puzzled. She knew perfectly well the intricacies and profundity of the supreme forgetful love technique. Once cultivated, it led down an irreversible path unless abandoned entirely. But now, Lu Chongqing claimed he could resolve Xiao Xie's issue with the technique. How could he have such confidence? Could he be lying to Xiao Xie again? However, Yun Wanshang felt that Lu Changsheng's words might not be entirely baseless. Moreover, Xiao Xie was pure-hearted, though emotionally swayed now, surely she couldn't keep being blindly deceived. Could it be that this scoundrel truly has a solution? Yun Wanshang pondered deeply as she thought about Lu Changsheng's various peculiarities. She had always known that Lu Chongqing possessed extraordinary opportunities and secrets. But with time and deeper understanding, she found herself increasingly struck by how unique and extraordinary those secrets were, far beyond those of an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator. If this scoundrel can truly solve Xie's problems, Yun Wanshang suddenly recalled the 50-year agreement Lu Chongqing had made with her years ago. If he and Xiao Xie could both break through core formation within 50 years, she had promised to approve their union. She had even outright stated that if they succeeded in reaching core formation, she would personally host their Dao companion ceremony. Thinking back now, Lu Chongqing actually had considerable hope for a breakthrough into core formation. As for Xiao Xie, as long as she could overcome her emotional tribulations and sever her connections to sentiment, reaching core formation was not an issue. At this moment, Yun Wanshang faintly sensed that Lu Chongqing had deliberately set her up back then. That despicable scoundrel. Thinking of this, Yun Wanshang felt a surge of frustration, her pale hand clenched tightly. Junior sister Kaiyun. At this moment, Yun Wanshang heard a deep, resonant voice, the Qingyun sect leader. A moment later, Yun Wanshang transformed into a stream of rainbow light, flying from Kaiyun Peak toward the main hall of Qingyun sect's main peak. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1270, with Kaiyun True Immortal's personal decree and Xiao Xie, a true inheritor of Qingyun sect, accompanying him, Lu Changsheng's visiting noble servant registration was completed smoothly. Lu Mountain Lord, now that you have become a visiting noble servant of Qingyun sect, your sect tributes can be halved from now on. The registrar elder, having completed the procedure for Lu Chongqing, said courteously. Currently, with the dual core formation cultivators of Kaiyun Peak, its status is extraordinary. Lu Changsheng's ability to secure Kaiyun True Immortal's decree and become a visiting noble servant earned him notable favor. Moreover, for someone of Lu Changsheng's age to have advanced to the level of a third-ranked talisman master demonstrated extraordinary talent in the talisman path, worthy of forging connections. Thank you, Elder Lin. Lu Chongqing replied courteously. Currently, with control over spiritual lands such as By Lake Mountain, White Tiger Mountain, and Flower Fruit Mountain, the annual Spirit Stone tribute totals 35,000 pieces. SAR the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This is no small amount, having it is quite a favorable outcome. However, aside from this benefit, other welfare is rather ordinary. Beyond the ability to exchange heavenly and earthly treasures and cultivation techniques through Qingyun sect, there isn't much else. Having this visiting noble servant token certainly makes visits to Qingyun's sect much more convenient in the future. Lu Chongqing toyed with the Qingyun sect identity token in his hand and chuckled softly. Even though he had connections with Xiao Xia and Zhao Qingqing, every time he visited Qingyun sect, he still had to send a message and wait for the two women to meet him. Alternatively, he would rely on his status as by Lake Mountain Lord and wait in the reception hall. It was not possible to enter Qingyun sect freely. Now, with this visiting noble servant identity token, travel to places like Kaiyun Peak and Lingyao Peak would be much easier. After dealing with some simple matters, Lu Chongqing returned to Kaiyun Peak with Xiao Xia to assist her in her cultivation. Red Sun Peak. After reprimanding Sima Qiuhua and Song Qingji realized that Lu Chongqing might have long established a connection with Yun Wanshang. This realization caused an inexplicable surge of anger in her heart. Yet, at that moment, she became aware of a puzzling issue. How did Lu Chongqing manage to connect with Yun Wanshang? She knew Yun Wanshang perfectly well. Normally, Yun Wanshang was arrogant, proud, and never spared a glance for any man. Why would she associate with someone like Lu Chongqing, a mere foundation establishment cultivator? While considering the idea that Yun Wanshang was deliberately provoking her, Song Qingji dismissed it as unlikely. Although she disliked Yun Wanshang and harbored deep resentment and envy toward her, not least because she believed Yun Wanshang had stolen her core formation fortune, she had to admit that Yun Wanshang had never considered her worthy of attention. Most of the time, her bitterness was one-sided. Precisely because of this, her feelings toward Yun Wanshang were mixed with jealousy and even self-doubt. There's something suspicious, definitely something odd. Song Qingzi's beautiful eyes narrowed as she pondered silently, convinced that there was an undisclosed secret between the two. Otherwise, Yun Wanshang would never associate with someone like Lu Chongqing, given today's situation. Could it be that Yun Wanshang has taken a liking to Lu Chongqing? A thought crossed Song Qingzi's mind. However, she quickly shook her head to dismiss it. Indeed, Lu Chongqing possessed extraordinary charm and bearing that even stirred her long-lost feelings. But Yun Wanshang, of all people, would never fall for mere external appearance or surface reasons to be attracted to a man. If he had extraordinary talent and was a peerless prodigy with innate gifts and strength superior to Yun Wanshang's, then perhaps it could be possible. But a mere foundation establishment cultivator? Absolutely impossible. In any case, there is definitely a secret between the two of them. Song Qingji, her ravishing face displaying resolve, had a determined look in her eyes. This wasn't only her understanding of Yun Wanshang but also the intuition unique to a woman. At this moment, Song Qingji found herself brimming with intense curiosity. She wanted to unearth the exact nature of their relationship, to uncover whether Yun Wanshang was harboring a hidden secret. Just then, a sonorous and powerful voice sounded from outside. Qingji, junior sister Kaiyun spoke with me earlier. She said that Lu Chongqing of Bai Lake Mountain has an old connection with Xiao Xia, having saved her life in the past. So regarding the matter with Bai Lake Mountain and Profound Martial Ridge, we should leave it to her to handle. Qiyang True Immortal stepped into the grand hall and addressed Song Qingji. Saved Xiao Xia's life. Song Qingji froze momentarily at the words. She had speculated along these lines earlier, but something about it still felt overly simplistic. Qingji, since junior sister Kaiyun has spoken up, let's leave this matter as it stands. Qiyang True Immortal, worried that his Dao companion might not have taken his words seriously, added, besides, junior sister Kaiyun is quite measured in her actions, she wouldn't show excessive favoritism. Alright, I understand. Despite her acquiescence, Song Qingji felt an inexplicable irritation surging within. Although he was a core formation true immortal and a top-tier artifact refiner with high status in Qingyun sect, Qiyang True Immortal was habitually immersed in artifact refining and paid little attention to sect affairs. Even when Yun Wanshang intervened, Qiyang True Immortal's station and reputation would have allowed him to ignore her presence. Yet, he had never contested her actions. Take, for instance, the past conflict regarding the coagulation crystal elixir. If Qi Yang True Immortal had chosen to abandon everything and fight fiercely for her sake, Song Qingji might have stood a chance against Yun Wanshang. Well, Qingji, if you feel that this matter has let Qiuhua down, you could compensate her later. Qi Yang True Immortal, understanding that his Dao companion highly valued reputation, suggested compensating their disciple Sima Qiuhua for the uncompleted task. I know, I won't dwell on this matter. Song Qingji knew precisely what her Dao companion's words implied. He was worried she'd start scheming against Yun Wanshang or digging up dirt on by Lake Mountain. By the way, sect leader's senior brother just deliberated with us and decided the time for opening Tianyuan's secret realm. You could send Qing'er and Qiuhua to explore it. If you need nomination slots, just provide me with a list later. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1271, Real Person Qi Yang, with a dignified and resolute demeanor, spoke in a calm tone and continued. CTH Novelier. N.E.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Has the opening time of the Tianyuan secret realm been confirmed? Hearing these words, Song Qingji showed some surprise and bewilderment, and proceeded to ask, will there be any danger? News from the Heavenly Sword sect states that Xianjian True Monarch will personally oversee it, so there will be no danger. Real Person Qi Yang chuckled as he replied. Xianjian True Monarch. When Song Qingji heard this name, her heart skipped a beat. She had not expected even such a true monarch to get involved. It seemed that the matter of the Tianyuan secret realm might lead to significant movements in Jiang country soon. My dear wife, during these days, I also need to make some preparations and forge a few small trinkets. After chatting for a while, Real Person Qi Yang got up and left. Go on, go on. Seeing her Dao companion acting in this manner, Song Qingji spoke in a slightly exasperated tone. She then began to ponder over the relationship between Yun Wanshang and Lu Chongqing. Yun Wanshang had just returned to Kaiyun Peak from the Qingyun Grand Hall when her Tongyu Phoenix marrow body emitted a faint and fleeting sense of unease. This unease instantly turned her expression cold, as she guessed what Lu Chongqing and Xiao Xie might be up to. That little scoundrel, is this how he helped Xie resolve her cultivation technique issues? Yun Wanshang was somewhat irritated, inwardly muttering to herself, could it be that Lu Chongqing can't live without women? Coming to the Qingyun sect just to engage in such matters with Xiao Xie. Even her closed-door cultivation was disturbed because of this. If not for considering her disciple's reputation, she would have called Lu Chongqing over to scold him right now. Soon after Yun Wanshang returned to her palace, a figure appeared outside the Great Hall and reported, Peak Master, I have already brought Sima Tong to the enforcement hall. But, the reparations demanded by Bihu Mountain are somewhat excessive, and since Sima Tong is already half crippled, if we force the Sima family to comply, they may harbor resentment, and other family forces might also have their grievances, Jinxue respectfully reported to Yun Wanshang from outside the palace. What are Bihu Mountain's demands? And what's Sima Tong's condition? After a brief moment, Yun Wanshang's voice resounded in Jinxia's mind. Bihu Mountain stated that Lu Chongqing demands 50,000 spirit stones, a spirit land, the ability to choose 30 shops under the profound Marshall Ridge Marketplace at Bihu Mountain's discretion, the opening of all trade routes, and a pledge not to seek revenge for 100 years. As for Sima Tong, his life-bound magic treasure has self-destructed, his meridians and dantian are damaged, his inner core is dimmed and has a faint crack, he is likely beyond recovery, Jinxue voiced her report. When Yun Wanshang heard these demands, she immediately understood why Red Sun Peak and the Sima family could not come to terms with Lu Chongqing. Such demands, the Sima family could completely nurture one, or even two, false core cultivators with those resources. How could they possibly pay such a price to apologize and compensate Bihu Mountain for a half-crippled false core cultivator? Reduce it to 20,000 spirit stones, 1 spirit land, and the choice of 10 marketplace shops under their name. Modify the terms and have the Sima family come to retrieve their man. Yun Wanshang spoke decisively. Although she could have approved, or even imposed harsher conditions, forcing the Sima family to relent, as the enforcement hall master, she couldn't entirely favor Lu Chongqing. Otherwise, what would the Sima family, other family factions, or the disciples of the Qingyun sect think? Moreover, the Sima family's incident also involved real person Qiyang. If she went too far, it would amount to showing no regard for real person Qiyang, slapping him in the face. These days, the conflict between the Bihu Mountain Lu family and the profound Marshall Ridge Sima family continued to escalate. It began spreading across the entire Qingyun region, and even throughout Jiang country's cultivation realm. Initially, many who heard the news dismissed it as mere rumors, doubting its authenticity. However, as the matter continued to unfold, it reached an increasing number of ears, gradually being believed. This brought great renown to Bihu Mountain. At this moment, within the beast-taming Su family, the Bihu Mountain Lu family, Lu Pingan, approaching third-order body refining, and Lu Chongqing advancing to a third-rank talisman master, a senior member of the Su family, upon hearing this news, furrowed his brows slightly, deep in thought. 10 years ago, the third ancestor of their Su family, Su Gu, had gone to Bihu Mountain, intending to ambush Lu Chongqing, the master of Bihu Mountain, but ultimately perished with no trace of the assailants. Later, their Su family dispatched people to investigate the circumstances surrounding Bihu Mountain. But no matter how much they searched, no information or traces of the battle could be found. Since Bihu Mountain was close to the Qingyun sect, they worried the matter might involve the Qingyun sect. As a result, they let it drop and did not pursue further investigation. Now, with Lu Pingan showing the strength nearing a false core, and Lu Chongqing becoming a third-rank talisman master, suspicions began to arise in his heart. After all, within the cultivation world, didn't everyone have some hidden trump cards and strategies? This Bihu Mountain Lu family, which had only been established for a few decades, not yet 100 years, and had risen to such prominence, clearly had access to extraordinary opportunities and profound secrets. Especially Lu Pingan, who, at his age, already possessed such combat power. His fortuitous encounters and secrets were undoubtedly far from ordinary. Perhaps he possessed some kind of one-time use exotic treasure capable of ambushing and killing false core cultivators. And now that Lu Chongqing had advanced to a third-rank talisman master, who could say whether this had just happened recently or had occurred much earlier? If Lu Chongqing had advanced some time ago and possessed multiple third-rank talismans, there was no saying he couldn't have played a part in Su Guest's demise. After all, in the world of cultivators, duels were ever-changing and unpredictable. Even though Su Gu, as a false core cultivator, had extraordinary combat prowess, any slight negligence, facing multiple third-rank talismans unexpectedly, could still have resulted in his downfall. After ruminating for a while, he decided to report his suspicions to the family head of the Su family, requesting continued monitoring of Bihu Mountain and further investigation. At the Lingxi Xia family. Previously, Lu Xingchen, following Lu Miao's arrangements, went to the Lingxi Lake Xia family to deliver an invitation. When he arrived at the Lingxi Xia family, he learned that the fifth elder of the Xia family had taken the initiative to visit his family. My eldest brother subdued the Sima family's false core patriarch? Hearing this from the Xia family, Lu Xingchen was completely dumbfounded. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1272. He knew his eldest brother was formidable, possessing unmatched combat strength. But he never expected his eldest brother to be so powerful as to suppress even a false core patriarch. And just like that, their family was elevated to a false core family. He had thought that, at the very least, it would take their family another 30 to 50 years to have any hope of being promoted to a false core family or even a nascent soul noble family. Young Master Lu, you've traveled a long way, so you may not have heard of this matter. Otherwise, just stopping by any marketplace to inquire would reveal the news. The head of the Xia family greeted Lu Xingchen with great politeness. After all, Lu Xingchen's visit to them represented the goodwill of Bai Lake Mountain, signaling a desire to foster a friendly relationship with the Xia family. Under such circumstances, the family head naturally chose to personally host him. I indeed have been constantly traveling and haven't had much opportunity to learn about the latest. Lu Xingchen replied with a polite smile. His appearance bore a close resemblance to his father, Lu Chongqing. Added to that, his cultivation of the Cauldron Medical King's scripture lent him a similar refined and gentle demeanor, exuding a scholarly elegance. Young Master Lu, might I ask if you are betrothed? Our Xia family, the Xia family head spoke with a gentle smile. After all, the most common way for families to solidify alliances was through marriage. The Xia family elder's recent trip to Bai Lake Mountain held such intentions, even considering marrying off a daughter to Lu Chongqing. However, since the Lu ancestor rarely appeared in public, leaving most affairs to lady of the Lu family, it became awkward for these family factions to propose marriage in person. After all, who would directly ask another man's wife whether her husband and their family wanted to establish a marital alliance? Additionally, the Lu ancestor's status and position had risen significantly. Sending an ordinary qi refinement woman over would only result in her becoming a maid, possibly not even qualified to be a concubine. And sending foundation establishment women to marry was an unlikely prospect. Thus, more and more families began shifting their attention to the younger generation of the Lu family. Though the Xia family head had not previously heard of Lu Xingchen, seeing that he was a foundation establishment cultivator caused the notion of marriage to surface in his mind. Thank you for your kind offer, family head Xia, but I currently have no plans for marriage. Lu Xingchen replied sincerely. While he didn't object to marrying and starting a family, or even a marriage for political alliance, such matters were not something he would decide on his own. Very well, young Master Lu, since you've come such a long way, feel free to explore and enjoy yourself here. Let my Xia family show proper hospitality as hosts. The Xia family head maintained an amicable demeanor and continued to speak, intending to arrange for several family daughters to meet Lu Xingchen later. If both sides were pleased with one another, that would be the ideal outcome. Kaiyun Peak. SAR the novel, F. Higher. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Mingyue Residence. Over recent days, Lu Chongqing had been deeply entangled with Xiao Xie, assisting her in her cultivation. After all, Xiao Xie's cultivation level was already at the Foundation Establishment's 7th layer. She would soon break through to the 8th layer. Under such circumstances, Lu Chongqing naturally needed to resolve Xiao Xie's situation as soon as possible. Otherwise, if Xiao Xie reached the point of attempting a core formation breakthrough while the effects of the Supreme Forgetful Love technique remained unresolved, it would be quite troublesome. Buzz, on the bed, Lu Chongqing and Xiao Xie were in harmony, yin and yang blending as an ethereal furnace floated above their heads, with the rotation of the sun and moon reflected within. In the palace atop the peak, Yun Wansheng, sitting cross-legged, opened her eyes and couldn't help but want to say, are they ever going to stop? Over the past few days, Lu Chongqing and Xiao Xie's continuous practice of the sun-moon samsara technique had caused her Tongyu Phoenix marrow body to resonate uncontrollably, stirring faint ripples in her body. This resonance had utterly distracted Yun Wansheng, leaving her unable to focus on her own cultivation. This won't do. I need to figure out if there are any formations that can block out this sensation. Yun Wansheng contemplated, considering how Lu Chongqing, now registered as a guest elder in Kaiyun Peak, was bound to be around more often in the future. She needed to find someone to arrange multiple formation layers to isolate this resonance as soon as possible. Otherwise, how could she possibly cultivate in peace? She really didn't want to feel this strange, inexplicable sense of involvement, huh? That day, Yun Wanshang blinked her beautiful eyes as if awakening from a dream, thinking to herself that there didn't seem to be any ripples today. Had they finally stopped, or had she just gotten used to it? Replaying the memories in her mind, she couldn't quite recall the last time the ripples had occurred. Immediately, Yun Wanshang sent a sound transmission to her steward, Jinxiu, to head to Mingyue residence and summon Lu Chongqing and Xiao Xia. At Mingyue residence, when Xiao Xia heard from her maid, Green Willow, that the steward of the peak had come to summon her and Lu Chongqing, her fair and jade-like face flushed with a rosy blush. She knew that her recent activities had certainly not escaped her master's notice. Or rather, her master was likely calling her now to remind her to take Lu Chongqing to complete his guest elder registration before addressing other matters. Yet, after completing the guest elder registration, the two of them had become so entwined that they'd completely lost track of time. It's all my fault. Anytime I'm with you, Xia, I lose all sense of time. Lu Chongqing, however, remained remarkably calm, holding Xiao Xia's graceful, mature, and seemingly moonlit flawless body with tenderness in his voice. Since discovering that Kaiyun True Immortal was the core formation woman he had once shared a fleeting connection with in his younger years, and with their multiple in-depth conversations since then, Lu Chongqing no longer held any reverence for her. He only harbored the intention of making her the mother of his children. After briefly indulging in each other's company, the duo adjusted their attire and ascended to the grand palace at the peak, appearing like a celestial couple as they bowed respectfully in greeting. Truly, Yun Wanshang gazed at the pair outside, her heart filled with a mix of inexplicable and complex emotions. Boom! The palace doors swung open. Yun Wanshang stepped out in a resplendent multicolored gown, its flowing hem cascading like clouds, accentuating her noble and majestic aura. Xia, I established a 50-year pact with you, and half of that time has already passed. If in the remaining time you fail to break through to core formation, do not blame me for being merciless. Yun Wanshang looked down at Xiao Xia, her voice cold and commanding. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1273. After speaking, she looked at Lu Chongqing, her eyes as tranquil as water, her aura imposing. Her voice was like ancient, unyielding ice as she stated, Lu Chongqing, the same applies to you. Even if I consider past relations, I will show no mercy. Please rest assured, true immortal. Lu Changsheng's handsome face bore a faint smile at the corner of his lips, his demeanor one of confidence and certainty as he replied calmly. Then, he lightly squeezed Xiao Xia's jade-like hand, signaling her not to worry. This scene left Yun Wanshang slightly puzzled, curious as to the source of Lu Changsheng's undeniable confidence. However, she couldn't deny that Lu Chongqing, full of confidence and brimming with vigor in this moment, was truly captivating, completely distinct from his usual shameless demeanor. Master, this disciple understands. Though Xiao Xia inwardly lacked full confidence, under Lu Changsheng's encouragement, she still cupped her hands respectfully and responded. Yun Wanshang nodded slightly and shifted her gaze to Lu Chongqing again, speaking, regarding the matter with the Sima family of Profound Martial Ridge, I have already sent someone to handle it. Afterward, the Sima family will provide compensation, which I will have delivered to Bai Lake Mountain. Thus, this matter ends here. With my writ in hand, the Sima family will not dare think of retaliation against you in the future. Yun Wanshang spoke with certainty. Though it was only a writ. The fact that she personally intervened and resolved the issue was tantamount to announcing to the outside world that Bai Lake Mountain was backed by the Qingyun sect and Kaiyun Peak's lineage. Under such circumstances, unless Bai Lake Mountain initiated trouble themselves, the beast-taming Su family would certainly think twice before making a move against Bai Lake Mountain. Many thanks, true immortal. Lu Chongqing cupped his hands and responded. He knew that, with this layer of deterrence provided by Yun Wanshang, his foundation would be secure, and he could develop steadily for quite some time ahead. Your family has come this far. In the days to come, maintain a lower profile. Excessive flamboyance is not a blessing. Yun Wanshang's voice softened slightly, cold yet melodious, carrying a regal authority befitting her lofty position. Oh. Lu Chongqing paused for a moment, picking up on a deeper implication in Yun Wanshang's words. He immediately cupped his hands and inquired, I beseech true Immortal for guidance. When any Immortal sect develops to a certain stage, they issue a pioneer order to initiate an expansion war. It has been several centuries since Qingyun's sect last issued a pioneer order. In recent years, incidents have erupted repeatedly between Yu country and Liang country. Should these conflicts escalate into full-blown war, Jiang country may also be implicated and dragged into the fray. Moreover, Jiang country itself has not been peaceful in these years. You must have noticed as much. Yun Wanshang shot a glance at Lu Chongqing and spoke in an even tone. Hearing these words, Lu Changsheng's heart sank. He faintly perceived the underlying meaning in Yun Wanshang's words. There was a likelihood that Jiang country would, in the near future, face either an Immortal sect expansion or a full-scale cultivation world war. Both expansion wars and cultivation world wars signified bloodshed and peril. Once such a war erupted, every cultivator in Jiang country, whether loose cultivator or family affiliated, would be unconditionally bound to follow the commands of the Immortal sects. In years past, when mobilizing forces to exterminate the Xiahou family and demonic path cultivators, numerous families had fallen into decline as a result. Soar the Oval Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The dangers of a war in the cultivation world could only be imagined. Countless families would either rise or be annihilated in such processes. And at that time, the larger and stronger of families' forces, the greater their expected contribution. Many thanks for the guidance, true Immortal. Lu Chongqing understands. Lu Changsheng's eyes sharpened as he nodded in response. A war of this scale would involve disciples of the Immortal sects being conscripted to the battlefield. Thus, even with Yun Wanshang's support, there was no avoiding it. Yun Wanshang's reminder was clearly meant to warn him that the signs were already emerging, and he should refrain from revealing too much of his power prematurely. Yun Wanshang nodded slightly and continued, soon, the four great Immortal sects will open the Tianyuan secret realm. At that time, Bai Lake Mountain will be granted a spot. Prepare yourself well and enter the Tianyuan secret realm to comprehend the celestial monument. It will be beneficial to you. As for the specifics of the Tianyuan secret realm, you may inquire with Xie. Yun Wanshang, possessor of supreme elegance, wore no adornments, yet her beauty was stunning and regal. The Tianyuan secret realm. Comprehend the celestial monument. Lu Chongqing blinked in surprise, not expecting this sudden turn of events about the Tianyuan secret realm. He was, of course, familiar with the Tianyuan secret realm. Years ago, Xiao Xie had accompanied Kaiyun True Immortal and senior sister Chu Qingyi in pioneering the Tianyuan secret realm. Now, with rumors abounding that the secret realm was attracting numerous foreign core formation cultivators coveting its opportunities, Yun Wanshang was suggesting that the four great Immortal sects would open it up, allowing him to comprehend the celestial monument. Before he could ask further questions, Kaiyun True Immortal waved her hand, dismissing them and closing the hall doors. Xie, what is the situation with this Tianyuan secret realm? Seeing this, Lu Chongqing turned to Xiao Xie for clarification. Previously, due to sect rules and her Dao Heart Oath, Xiao Xie had been unable to divulge much, so Lu Chongqing hadn't pressed her then. The Tianyuan secret realm should now have been thoroughly cleared. The celestial monument is one of the opportunities within. As for its origins, I am not entirely sure. All I know is that everyone can use the monument to comprehend cultivation insights, gaining Dao enlightenment, cultivation experiences, or even cultivation technique inheritances, Wuxia explained, indicating that both she and her master had secured substantial gains from the monument in the past. However, each person could only comprehend the celestial monument once, with no second opportunities. Now the outside world is abuzz with news of the Tianyuan secret realm. Even many foreign core formation immortals are being drawn to claim its opportunities. Lu Chongqing frowned and muttered, opening the Tianyuan secret realm at this moment. Is there a trap involved? He had experienced the Zhuxiao Immortal City incident early in his cultivation journey. He knew the Heavenly Sword sect was not to be trusted. Back then, when Xianjian True Monarch was challenged by the Jin Kingdom's demonic path True Monarch, the Heavenly Sword sect had knowingly allowed the demonic path cultivators, who harbored ill intent, to infiltrate Jiang country and plot within Zhuxiao Immortal City. They had then ambushed and captured a core formation cultivator, killing 2 others and wiping out 7 or 8 false core practitioners. If not for one core formation cultivator self-destructing their true elixir in a desperate bid, the demonic path forces would have suffered even greater losses. Now, with the Tianyuan secret realm reopening, it reminded him of the Zhuxiao Immortal City incident, making him suspect that the 4 great immortal sects were using this as an opportunity to lure in demonic path cultivators for an ambush and to assert dominance. Otherwise, the timing seemed far too coincidental. Not foolish at all. Within the palace, Yun Wanshang's lips curved into a faint smile upon hearing Lu Changsheng's remark. Her decision to have Lu Chongqing enter the Tianyuan secret realm was partly due to the benefits of the celestial monument for him. If he could gain enlightenment or a cultivation technique inheritance from it, his chances of forming a core would improve in the future. On the other hand, she found herself increasingly unable to discern Lu Changsheng's depths. Thus, she saw the Tianyuan secret realm as an opportunity to test him. This, Wuxia, hearing Lu Changsheng's words, felt he was likely correct. Even though she knew Lu Chongqing had already broken through to core formation and become a nascent soul immortal, she remained somewhat concerned. After all, Lu Chongqing had only reached core formation 3 years ago. With no completed divine skills or magical treasures in hand, he might encounter danger. It's fine. Lu Chongqing, seeing Wuxia's worried expression, held her hand and spoke gently. Under normal circumstances, he would avoid meddling in such a secret realm. But with Yun Wanshang's explicit instruction, refusing out of fear might disappoint her. Since that was the case, he would make the trip. Moreover, if the 4 great immortal sects dared to proceed, they were surely confident and wouldn't send people to their deaths recklessly. Of course, the primary reason was that he now had enough strength to feel assured. As long as no nascent soul true monarch appeared, he was confident he could escape even from a late-stage core formation great cultivator. Senior sister will be stationed in the Tianyuan secret realm. If danger arises, Chongqing, you may seek her protection. Wuxia nodded slightly, offering a reassuring suggestion. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1274, Profound Martial Ridge, Sima Family. 13th sister is back. The Sima family head, upon hearing the report, immediately rushed to the hall with an expression of surprise and joy. These past days, with the family patriarch's matters involving Blue Lake Mountain weighing on his mind, his role as the family head had been a daily torment. Constantly, he was waiting for Sima Qiuhua to send back good news. At the moment he heard of Sima Kua's return, his first thought was that the family's issues had been resolved. When he arrived at the hall and saw not only Sima Qiuhua but also 2 individuals in Qingyun sect enforcement hall robes, a man and a woman, his expression slightly stiffened as he sensed something amiss. 13th sister. The Sima family had addressed Sima Qiuhua, whose face showed a hint of fatigue, and then slightly cupped his hands toward the 2 Qingyun sect disciples. Sima family head, correct? This is our hall master's edict, regarding the resolution of the grievances between the profound Marshall Ridge Sima family and the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. The two enforcement hall disciples exchanged glances and spoke up, handing the edict to the Sima family head. "Thank you, Taoists." Though the Sima family head felt something was off, he maintained his courtesy. He took out 10 middle-grade spirit stones from his storage bag and handed them to the two disciples. The disciples accepted the stones without reservation. After all, traveling this distance was arduous, and this counted as a little extra reward. After taking the spirit stones, the two disciples stepped out of the hall to wait outside, allowing the Sima family head and Sima Chihuahua a private conversation. The Sima family head trembled violently as he read the content of the edict. His face turned deathly pale, as though struck by lightning. He then looked at Sima Chihuahua in disbelief and said, "13th sister, what is going on? Originally, this matter had been handled by my master, and real person Qiang already approved, but Lu Chongqing saved the disciple of Kaiyun True Immortal, Xiao Xie, years ago, which alarmed Kaiyun True Immortal and led her to personally intervene." Sima Chihuahua spoke bitterly. Previously, she had received a family message and went to request her master, Song Qingji. She had thought the matter was resolved, with her master and grandmaster's backing. CTH Novelfire, any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. She even imagined she could leverage this achievement for resources from the family afterward. Who could have expected it would provoke Kaiyun True Immortal's involvement, resulting in a harsh reprimand from her master, Song Qingji, and displeasure from her senior brother, Song Qing. Kaiyun True Immortal intervened personally. When the Sima family head heard this, his pale complexion turned ashen. This act, personally handled by the enforcement hall master, indicated the matter was already finalized and unchangeable. Whatever the punishment might be, the Sima family must accept it. Moreover, if one were to account for the truth, it was indeed the Sima family that instigated it first and was in the wrong. Additionally, following this matter, Lu Chongqing leveraged his status as a third-rank talisman master to become a visiting noble servant at Kaiyun Peak. So, Sima Chihuahua sighed and continued. Even though the Sima family now faced massive losses and frustration, they could only admit defeat. Should they dare seek trouble with Blue Lake Mountain again, it would equate to insulting Kaiyun True Immortal. The Sima family head sat in a chair nearby as though drained, only recovering after a long while, his voice weak as he said, 13th sister, I understand. This compensation not only caused severe damage to the Sima family's vitality. It also signified irreversible damage to the family's reputation. In the future, whenever people discussed Blue Lake Mountain or profound Marshall Ridge, this matter would inevitably surface, causing massive harm to the Sima family's prestige. Reputation was intangible but had unavoidable indirect consequences. Moreover, as the Sima family head, he became acutely aware of one critical issue. That was the rapid growth of Blue Lake Mountain, achieved in just a few decades. Previously, aside from the Sima family, other forces such as the Dayuan Mountain Yuan family, Golden Dragon Ridge Jin family, Fuyun Mountain Luo family, and Beast Taming Su family secretly suppressed Blue Lake Mountain to hinder its rise. But now, Lu Chongqing had aligned with Qingyun sects Kaiyun True Immortal. This meant other families had to weigh their actions before targeting the Lu family and couldn't act openly. Without suppression and limits, at this growth rate, in a few decades, Blue Lake Mountain might rise to become the foremost false core family, potentially advancing to a nascent soul noble family. Who could say if Blue Lake Mountain would then resolve to exact vengeance on the Sima family? The Sima family head felt a deep sense of heaviness pressing on his heart. I will go with you to meet the family patriarch and elders. Sima Chihuahua gazed at her brother's dispirited state and sighed. Though this outcome was not one the Sima family could refuse. The patriarch and elders still needed to be informed for deliberation. Not to mention, deploying such a massive sum of compensation required much planning and arrangement. Thank you, 13th sister. The Sima family head cupped his hands in gratitude. If he had to face the patriarch's fury alone, it would be unbearable. With Sima Chihua there, matters would be far more manageable. Qingyun sect. Following a session of dual cultivation with Xiao Xie, Lu Chongqing did not continue cultivating afterward. On one hand, a profound cultivation technique like the Sun-Moon Samsara technique emphasized moderation and avoided rash progress. On the other hand, since awakening the Tai divine soul, his sensitivity and perception had heightened considerably. In the inexplicable, he often felt watched, suspecting it was Kaiyun true immortal. Thus, he believed constantly lingering under the gaze of that true immortal might unintentionally provoke her discontent. After all, given the depth of their interactions over time, Lu Chongqing didn't imagine Kaiyun true immortal could remain completely unbothered by him and Xiao Xie perpetually engaging in dual cultivation. However, Lu Chongqing did not immediately leave Qingyun sect. Instead, he visited Lingyao Peak to spend time with Zhao Qingqing, aiming to strengthen their relationship and perhaps conceive a second child. In the 100 Herbs Garden, upon the bed, Lu Chongqing held his beloved tightly, galloping into passion. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1275, Zhao Qingqing's Veg body is extremely compatible with the Cauldron Medical King's scripture. After cultivating this technique, by consistently using spirit flowers and spirit grass for cultivation, not only did her progress accelerate tremendously, but her physique also developed a refreshing, enchanting fragrance of spiritual medicine. Search * the Oval Fire. Ed website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At this very moment, the room was filled with the exuberance of spring and permeated with an intoxicating aroma. Zhao Qingqing let out a soft and tender hum from her nose. Her two jade-like feet, fair and smooth as bamboo shoots, swayed constantly near the corner of Lu Changsheng's eyes. 10 delicate white toes curled and stretched, stirring an irresistible allure. No one knew how much time had passed. Zhao Qingqing's expression appeared dazed as her jade-like body trembled. Lu Lang, half closing her alluring eyes, she gazed at him with a mesmerizing tenderness and clung weakly to Lu Chongqing. Her ruby-red lips whispered softly, her breath fragrant like orchids. Her rounded, shining calves, supple and smooth, twitched uncontrollably. 10 delicate toes curled tightly, while the tender soles of her feet turned a blush-pink hue. Qingqing. Lu Chongqing watched her exquisite demeanor, gently caressing her warm and soft body, which still trembled reflexively. After laboring in the 100 Herbs Garden for half a month, Lu Chongqing checked on his son, Lu Yunlu, and his daughter, Lu Xingyue, before returning to Bai Lake Mountain. Though both had foundation establishment elixirs, matters of foundation establishment required thorough preparation and cultivation. Boom! Just as Lu Chongqing returned to Bai Lake Mountain, he felt an intense surge of pure mana suddenly entering his body. Judging by the power of this mana, he immediately surmised his son, Lu Pingon, had made a breakthrough. Previously, during a battle with Sima Tong, Lu Pingon had faintly sensed an opportunity for a breakthrough. Thus, upon returning home, he immediately went into closed-door cultivation to push toward foundation establishment 4th layer. Name, Lu Pingon, lifespan, 61 of 253, talent, 5th grade spiritual root, cultivation level, foundation establishment 3rd level, capability, body refining compatibility, 61%, was it not Pingon? Lu Chongqing was slightly surprised. Unexpectedly, it wasn't his son, Lu Pingon, who had made the breakthrough. Currently, only a few of his children were at mid-stage foundation establishment. He observed each of them. Name, Lu Chuanjin, lifespan, 58 of 193, talent, 4th grade spiritual root, cultivation level, foundation establishment 5th layer, capability, combat law compatibility, 67%, Chuanzhen has broken through to the fifth layer of foundation establishment. Lu Chongqing appeared both astonished and surprised. He recalled that his son, Lu Chuanzhen, had only advanced to the fourth layer 4 years ago. At his current speed, it would have taken at least another 2 or 3, perhaps even 4 or 5 years to break through. It seems Chuanzhen must have encountered some fortuitous event. Lu Chongqing thought silently to himself. For someone like Lu Chuanzhen, who spent extended periods abroad, his cultivation advancements were largely reliant on fortuitous encounters rather than methodical effort. From his son's lifespan and capabilities, it was evident that he must have gone through numerous battles and even resorted to life-burning techniques. Children and grandchildren have their own fortunes. Lu Chongqing chose not to worry too much about his son Lu Quanzhen's situation and returned to Bai Lake Mountain. Mountain Master. Greetings, Lu Ancestor. Even after all this time, cultivators continued to visit Bai Lake Mountain to pay their respects. Upon seeing Lu Chongqing, they displayed utmost reverence, bowing with admiration. Many women revealed expressions of infatuation. Lu Chongqing smiled lightly and nodded, transforming into a streak of escape light as he returned to Baiyun Peak. Lu Miaoyun and Ling Zixiao approached Lu Chongqing and brought up the matter of Sima Tong. Lu Chongqing briefly explained how the situation was resolved to the two ladies. He also mentioned that he had taken up the role of a visiting noble servant within Qingyun sect. Regarding family business, trade caravans, and related matters, he indicated that the arrival of Qingyun sect's enforcement hall would finalize and handle these issues, allowing them to proceed. Furthermore, the news of him becoming a visiting noble servant of Qingyun sect could be gradually revealed outward. Kaiyun True Immortal, Ling Zixiao mused upon hearing this, gazing at Lu Chongqing meaningfully. She had previously speculated which patron Lu Chongqing might seek in Qingyun sect. After seeing the enforcement hall arrive and learning that its hall master was Xiao Xia's master, Kaiyun True Immortal, her suspicions were further confirmed. Now hearing this, she wasn't sure what to say. Cough, your husband encountered Kaiyun True Immortal in the past when she was gravely injured and saved her life. She's simply repaying the favor. However, publicly, you may hint that I saved Xia's life. Lu Chongqing offered a brief explanation. Ling Zixiao, however, upon hearing that Lu Chongqing had saved Kaiyun True Immortal, appeared even more intrigued. After all, she was well aware of her husband's ability to save people. She chose not to believe that Kaiyun True Immortal and her husband had been completely free of entanglements under such circumstances. Still, Ling Zixiao refrained from making further remarks. She understood that whatever relationship the two might have, it was not yet appropriate for public dissemination. She proceeded to discuss family matters with Lu Chongqing. During recent times, many families visited bearing goodwill and seeking collaboration. Not only foundation establishment families, but also false core families, such as Lingxi Xia family, the Feng family of Divine Eagle Valley, and the Luo family of Floating Cloud Cave. Even the patriarch of Dayuan Mountain Yuan family, who had previously acted against them in secret, personally came to make amends. Since this elder of the Yuan family is willing to come forward and apologize proactively, the grievances between our families can be set aside. Lu Chongqing deliberated and commented. With the matter of the Sima family, Bai Lake Mountain's reputation was already established. There was no need to continue entangling with the Yuan family and creating unnecessary discord. The Yuan family patriarch himself had come to offer apologies. If they continued to press the matter, they might instead appear domineering beyond measure. Moreover, Yun Wanshang had previously reminded him that wars might occur in the cultivation world in the future. Thus, there was no need to recklessly challenge others now. Steady development would suffice. I share the same opinion. Ling Zixiao replied gracefully with a faint smile, presenting a booklet that listed numerous families seeking marriage alliances with their own. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1276. Aside from a few women proactively offering themselves as concubines to Lu Changxing, most sought marriage alliances with Lu Pingan, Lu Qingxian, and other Lu family disciples. If there are loose cultivators with decent character and background who would be beneficial to our family, we can consider them. As for Pingan and Qingxian, let them decide for themselves. Lu Changxing looked at the booklet before him and spoke. Although he didn't mind taking in dozens more concubines, most of the women sent by family forces were of qi refinement cultivation level, with spiritual roots no better than 4th or 5th grade. For such candidates, Lu ancestor truly found them unworthy, preferring instead to bring in loose cultivators, or perhaps he might take a stroll to the White Jade Tower when he had time. While loose cultivators generally lacked remarkable spiritual root talent, those who could achieve success in the cultivation world rarely had poor spiritual roots. If someone had notable spiritual root talent, foundation establishment cultivation, a clean background, and decent character, Lu ancestor wouldn't mind compromising his dignity to win them over. After reviewing the family matters, Lu Changxing headed to Balian Peak to inspect the situation. He checked the local earth-fire vein to estimate how much longer it would take to mature, preparing to refine the White Peak Immortal's life-bound magic treasure anew. Thus, he would have more techniques at his disposal when venturing into the Tianyuan's secret realm. However, the earth-fire vein at Balian Peak still required at least another year or half before it could ascend, and until then, the earth-fire array wouldn't yield the desired earth-fiend flame. Sigh. Forget it. Let's focus on having children. Lu Changxing sighed and gave up on the idea of crafting magical treasures, instead resolving to produce offspring at home. Admittedly, it was significantly harder to conceive children after reaching core formation. Despite his diligent efforts over the past few days at home, only one concubine had managed to conceive. Even after half a month of groundwork at Qingyun sect's Lingyao Peak, it was unclear whether Zhao Qingqing had conceived. Still, faced with such results, Lu Changxing refused to be discouraged, firmly believing that heaven rewards persistence. As long as he exerted himself, there would inevitably be outcomes. After staying at the Lingxi Xia family for 3 days, Lu Xingchen bid farewell and departed. The journey from Lingxi Lake to Bai Lake Mountain was long, even traveling day and night would take over half a month. However, given the rare chance to venture far, Lu Xingchen wasn't eager to rush back and instead leisurely explored along the way, broadening his horizons. One night, as the curtain of dusk descended, Lu Xingchen instructed the Iron Feather Eagle to land on a mountain peak to rest. He skillfully scattered powder around the area to prevent the approach of group-dwelling demon beasts. Not long after he sat down, he suddenly heard the sounds of combat ahead in the forest, demon beasts roaring, explosions rumbling, and dazzling flashes of spells colliding. Upon hearing the commotion, Lu Xingchen's initial reaction was to distance himself from it. However, considering that using mana then might attract the attention of demon beasts, he quickly formed an incantation gesture with his hands, blending his energy into the nearby tree. His entire being seemed to merge seamlessly with the tree. The Cauldron Medical King scripture, although not adept at fighting techniques, offered many life-saving methods. This particular technique allowed his body and energy to harmonize with the tree, making it nearly impossible for ordinary foundation establishment cultivators or demon beasts to detect him. Moments later, Lu Xingchen spotted a young man in white clothing besieged by over a dozen wolves with bluish-green fur. Green-winged wolves, low-level bloodline demon beasts. Is this group led by a mutant wolf king? Lu Xingchen recognized the pack as one of the lowest-level social demon beasts, most ranging from initial to middle stage of first order. The lead green-winged wolf had fur with faint purple traces, suggesting it had gained some chance encounter to mutate and progress to a second-order great demon. What truly astonished Lu Xingchen, however, was that the white-clothed young man, despite only being at the 7th level of qi refinement, had managed to evade the pack's attacks for so long. On closer observation, the young man demonstrated not only proficient spellcasting but also nimble movements. Several times he narrowly avoided deadly attacks from the Green Wind Wolf King, escaping calamity by what seemed like sheer luck. Lu Xingchen speculated that, had the youth been facing the Wolf King alone, he might have escaped. Unfortunately, he was trapped by the pack. Whoa! One of the Green Wind Wolves seized an opening while the youth dodged the Wolf King's wind blade, pouncing on him and sinking its sharp teeth into his shoulder, drawing blood. Already weak, his aura frail and riddled with wounds, the young man cried out in pain before unleashing a technique, blasting the wolf away. But at that moment, the other Green Wind Wolves swarmed him, leaving the youth struggling helplessly, his eyes filled with despair and grief. Sigh. Lu Xingchen let out a soft sigh as he witnessed this scene. Though his family taught him to avoid meddling in trouble while traveling, urging caution, and to assess his abilities before taking action, never acting impulsively, he found it hard to ignore something so dire now that it was right in front of him. Greenwood entanglement. Lu Xingchen formed incantation gestures with his hands, and suddenly green gold vines sprouted from the ground, ensnaring the Green Wind Wolves. Sar the novel _fire. Ed website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. One vine wrapped around the white-clothed youth, pulling him toward Lu Xingchen. Roar! The Green Wind Wolf King noticed immediately, let out a furious roar, and unleashed wind blades swirling around its body, heading straight for Lu Xingchen. Bang! Lu Xingchen hurriedly summoned a shield, its flowing radiance blocking the incoming barrage. Gripping the nearly unconscious, gravely weakened youth in his arms, Lu Xingchen dared not linger, fleeing hastily. Without using talismans, he was truly no match for the Green Wind Wolves, especially now when he had a liability to take care of. After running for an extended period, Lu Xingchen noticed the Green Wind Wolf King relentlessly pursuing them, likely tracking the scent. No, this won't do. If I keep going, I may draw other demon beasts too. Reluctantly, Lu Xingchen retrieved a second-order middle-grade fire talisman from his pocket and launched it at the Green Wind Wolf King. Faced with the attack, the Wolf King's fur was singed severely, fear and apprehension flickering in its eyes as it abandoned the chase. Phew! Seeing this, Lu Xingchen sighed in relief and carried the white-clothed youth to a safer spot to tend to his injuries. Though he was no expert at combat, he was well suited to healing. Thank you, the white-clothed youth, breath faint and erratic, weakly murmured his gratitude to Lu Xingchen. But as soon as he finished, his tense mental spirit finally relaxed, causing him to faint entirely. Sigh, what a mess this is. Lu Xingchen looked at the unconscious young man in his arms and sighed helplessly. That day, Lu Changxing was at Baishui Lake enjoying himself with Bai Ling, Chu Zhenjin, and several other ladies. Suddenly, he felt a rush of pure mana. With a brief glance, he immediately understood that his son Lu Pingon had achieved a breakthrough. This surge of cultivation energy wasn't particularly significant, but it was enough to push him to his current limit. Following the conclusion of the lake outing, Lu Changxing went to Mount Sumerus Cave Heaven and entered Changxing Hall to meditate. He circulated his cultivation technique to prepare for his breakthrough. For Lu Changxing, such progression was naturally smooth and effortless. Boom! Several days later, his Qi ocean core bubbled turbulently as yin-yang mana surged, the golden core radiated dazzling colors, and his physique reverberated with the pulsating energy of yin-yang Qi. 3 years after reaching core formation, Lu Changxing finally advanced from the initial stage to the second level. This pace was largely thanks to the yin-yang integration spirit pill. Otherwise, apart from dual cultivation, he hadn't practiced seriously at all during these 3 years, and the support from his children due to the disparity in cultivation levels was minimal. Breaking through before entering the Tianyuan secret realm, this is not bad. Lu Changxing smiled pleased as he exited Changxing Hall. As usual, he checked on the status of Cave Heaven's spirit vein, estimating it would need another year or so to advance to third-order spirit vein. Yet what excited him more than the spirit vein's progress was the impending emergence of the Honglian. Emerging from Mount Sumerus cave heaven, he stood atop Blue Cloud Peak, overlooking the bustling activity at Biyun Villa. The grand banquet held previously to celebrate Lu Wangshu's foundation establishment ceremony was about to commence, and the family forces in attendance had gathered from afar. For those traveling long distances, by Lake Mountain naturally arranged accommodations. At the Lu family mansion, Lu Miaoyan informed Lu Chongqing that Lu Qinsha had sought him out a few days prior. He had reported the successful formation of the Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon, with the first second-order Blackwater Jialong spirit weapon having ascended. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1277. Oh, the Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers have advanced. Lu Changsheng's brow lifted slightly upon hearing this, a trace of joy appearing on his face. Years ago, he invested considerable time and effort into cultivating this batch of Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers. However, their growth was painfully slow. Despite his heavy investment of resources, along with the assistance of ancient beast taming charms, their speed remained frustratingly sluggish, eventually prompting him to lose interest. Yet now, one of the Dao soldiers had finally achieved second-rank advancement, making him feel somewhat pleased. Qinsha, come see me. Lu Chongqing enveloped the entire Blue Cloud Peak with his divine sense and summoned his son, Lu Qinsha, who was training iron fire ants, intending to inspect the second-rank Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier. Soon after, Lu Qinsha arrived at the Lu family mansion. Upon seeing Lu Chongqing and the others, he respectfully clasped his hands in greeting. Qinsha greets father and aunt. Lu Chongqing nodded faintly and, accompanied by Lu Qinsha, ascended to the summit of Blue Cloud Peak, saying, "Release the second-rank Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier for me to see." "Yes, father." Lu Qinsha responded reverently, then retrieved the ancient beast taming charm and activated the beast technique spell. Buzz! The ancient charm radiated brilliant light, and a streak of black aura shot forth, manifesting as a pitch-black Jialong roughly 3 zhang, 9 meters, long and as thick as a barrel, its hide covered with dense, dark scales. The Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier had a pair of short legs beneath its body shimmering with a cold, obsidian gleam, and a solitary small black horn atop its head. Hoarg! As the Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier emerged, a surge of aqueous energy spread across the surroundings, causing the creature to soar on misty clouds. A second-rank Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier, its innate monster techniques awakened, Blackwater Divine Light, Cloud Soaring Technique, and Illusion Mist Technique. Lu Chongqing scrutinized the Dao soldier before him. The Blackwater Jialong spell refined demon beasts into Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers, with notable differences in appearance during the first rank. Upon advancing to second rank, aside from retaining some minor traits, they largely metamorphosize into the form of a Blackwater Jialong. When Dao soldiers reach third rank, unless the demon beast's original bloodline was extraordinary and its innate talents remarkable, few of their original features remain, as they are entirely transformed into the likeness of a Blackwater Jialong. Though it's only second rank and its combat strength is limited, using it as a mount does have a certain prestige. Lu Chongqing chuckled faintly at the sight of the imposing Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier before him. This Dao soldier belonged to the water element. Its full combat effectiveness could only be unleashed within aquatic environments. Brought outside, its abilities were no more than average at best. Nonetheless, its appearance was impressive, ferocious and dignified, with a semblance of the majestic aura of a Jialong. Is there only one second-rank Blackwater Jialong at present? Lu Chongqing turned to Lu Qinsha. In response to father, currently there is only this one Dao soldier that has advanced to second rank. 5 others are progressing, 3 are on the verge of advancing, and at most within a year, they will achieve second rank, Lu Qinsha reported dutifully. Lu Chongqing had reared a total of 81 Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers. Among the earlier members refined from by-blood carp kings and various low to mid-tier bloodline demon beasts, their foundation was relatively weak, so he opted for simpler cultivation, without the intention of accelerating them to second rank. After all, even if these Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers reached second rank, their potential was exhausted, making advancement to third rank almost impossible. However, the 9 Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers subject to more intensive cultivation were also of merely high-tier bloodline grade. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly, stepping onto the head of the Blackwater Jiaolong. Although the Blackwater Jiaolong soldier charm had been handed over to Lu Qinsha, these Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers were all forged by him using the Blackwater Jiaolong spell, giving them an innate reverence and submissiveness toward him, remaining under his control. Come here. Lu Chongqing raised his hand lightly, pulling his son Lu Qinsha onto the head of the Blackwater Jiaolong as well, preparing to test its prowess. Roar! 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 The Blackwater Jiaolong bellowed fiercely, its scales shimmering, surrounded by swirling mist as torrents of aqueous vapor surged around it, propelling it toward Bai Shui Lake. What's that? A Jiaolong. That's a second-rank Jiaolong. When did our family acquire a second-rank Jiaolong? Its father alongside Qinsha. Many on Blue Cloud Peak noted the commotion, noticing a fearsome black Jiaolong flying toward Bai Shui Lake with an aura of majesty, upon whose ferocious head stood 2 figures. Discussions arose in astonishment. Apart from the 9 Netherhound guarding White Tiger Mountain, Bai Lake Mountain actually possesses another second-rank spiritual beast. CTH novel, F. Iyer. Ed website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Could this second-rank Jiaolong possibly be Lu Ancestor's mount? What is Lu Ancestor planning to do? Cultivators visiting Bai Lake Mountain for the ceremony were astounded, shocked, and filled with envy at the spectacle. Although this type of second-rank Dao soldier was entirely insignificant to Lu Chongqing, kept for amusement to cultivators from other families, it would be akin to a second-order great demon, a clan guardian spirit beast. Particularly, the Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier boasted an extremely striking appearance. As it soared high in the sky, were it not examined closely, it could easily be mistaken for a demon beast with Earth-grade bloodline. Roar! 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 As the Blackwater Jiaolong reached the skies over Bai Shui Lake, its excitement visibly increased, becoming enveloped in a heavy mist, causing waves to surge upward from the lake. Settle down. Lu Chongqing frowned with displeasure, pressing his foot against the Jiaolong's head. This Bai Shui Lake belonged to his family, stocked with numerous spiritual fish. What if they ended up harmed? The Blackwater Jiaolong whimpered softly, retracting its imposing air. Soon after, a Bai Lake Mountain token appeared in Lu Changsheng's hand. This token carried partial formation restrictions, allowing activation of the Bai Lake Mountain Great Formation. Through the token, Lu Chongqing activated the second transformation of the Bai Lake Mountain Great Formation, Bihu Stream Layers. From Bai Shui Lake, columns of water erupted skyward, layers of mist spread, cloaking the surroundings in azure currents and foggy haze, isolating this portion of the heavens and earth. Then Lu Chongqing turned to his son, Lu Qinsha, saying, Qinsha, release all the Dao soldiers except those currently advancing. Within his Qi Ocean Core, the Yin-Yang Great Path Golden Core orbited around the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, radiating brilliant resplendence. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible.